Oh, you look crystal clear though. You literally look like you're in a studio.
Come on, baby. This is what I do. You already
Can
know.
you imagine you are? You're just fronting like you're outside. It's like room temperature. You're in a studio. There's 35 people on the other side of the camera. You have
I gotta keep you guessing. I can't give you all my secrets.
less things have changed since a couple Sheffields later, huh? Things have changed for you.
That's right. That's right. We're up now, buddy. We're up now. All
We up,
right.
man. We up. Yesterday's price ain't today's price.
Today's
Ain't
price, baby.
today's price. So I mean, we were just talking. You're a fucking week out. I feel like I saw you yesterday, and you just competed, and you're a week out,
Hmm.
dude. How is this? How this is crazy. How you feeling?
Honestly, man, I feel pretty good. Like I feel a little beat up, a little tired. But I feel like that's to be expected. And I don't think I'm feeling, I think the level of fatigue I'm feeling isn't too far off from what I'd be feeling if I had, 12 weeks or 16 weeks. I'm in a peak, and peaks are,
Mm.
I mean, you know how it is, man. It's tough. So, I actually though I'm kind of excited because I've never done back-to-back meets like this. So this is kind of like a new challenge. So I actually feel pretty good.
Kind of is like, what's the big deal,
Dude,
man?
he's a
Pitt
machine,
is a
man.
savage. Pitt is a
I think he
savage.
can more than he actually trains.
Pitt, like competed at Euros, turned around 10 days later and was like in, hitting PRs and shit. It was crazy. And he's like,
Crazy.
well, it is what it is. But how do you feel in terms of so you're just before we go into Sheffield and then we'll go into PA Nats. Let's lay
Hmm.
the foundation here on why you're doing PA Nats for anyone who doesn't follow in terms of like why you need to do this.
Yeah, so that's a great point. So first and foremost, my number one goal is to go to Worlds, to win Worlds, and then to use Worlds as a doorway to the other opportunities that exist in the IPF. So potentially World Games in 2025, and then of course 2025 Sheffield, right? So as far as I'm concerned, the only two ways, or I'm sorry, the only way you can go those two routes is through IPF Worlds. So I have to get back to IPF Worlds. As of right now, I am the number two 93 kilo lifter in America. I'm not number one. Jonathan Cayco has, I think, what did he total? Was it 894 or 893 at Sheffield?
93, it
Somewhere
was.
around there. I totaled 887. And so as a result, he has the number one seat for the IPF World National Team. And so whether or not, whatever decision he chooses to make, I can't leave it up to chance. I can't leave it up to that. And so even if, let's say if he doesn't want to do Worlds, technically I would be the next in line. But we also have Brandon Pitre, who's definitely a threat in the 93s who will be showing up to nationals and I think can absolutely total over 887 or 895. And so he could potentially steal that seat away if Keiko had decided not to do Worlds. If he does decide to do Worlds, then all the more reason why not only do we have to, or when I say we, I mean me, beat Petrie, but we also have to defeat the total that Keiko had put up at Sheffield. So that's why I have to do nationals. It's basically so that I can be the number 193 in the nation.
Dude, I absolutely love it. First off, that you're like, I mean, literally, we were taking a car ride to I was going to the airport. You were going to the airport too, but um, and I remember we were in the back seat. We were with Kyoto
Hmm.
Uchiyama and his girl. They passed out. And freaking we robbed them blind, son. That was the first. That's when you knew you took a car ride with Bronx. Am I right? That's when you found out the hard way. They'll pass out with New York in the same car. But anyways, um, and you were saying like with my goals, I got to turn this around. I think I'm just going to turn this around real quick. And it's not the craziest. In between the two meets, how many weeks is it?
Um, so technically five, but because I had to work with my protein, the supplement company that I'm sponsored by, I was in Manchester for pretty much most of the week after Sheffield. So I lost that fifth week, or I guess that would be that week one of that week of that 5 week prep. So I didn't officially land on US soil and get back to normal protocol until I was about 4 weeks out. So it'll be about a 4 week prep.
Well, at least you were prepped and ready for Sheffield.
Yeah, and that plays to our advantage, right? So essentially, we went off of a strong meet, strong performance, um, and can just treat it as momentum, and basically just continue the peak, so to speak. I've done a decent job, I'd say, of managing my fatigue since then, and that's a skill that I kind of had to learn over the last, 6 months or so as an athlete, and I think it's a skill that's kind of shining through now, more than ever. So just knowing when to push and when to pull back, and so yeah, so I feel pretty confident. I feel pretty good. This is basically my last heavy week, because we start our taper next week since we fly out to Reno, either Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. So obviously, not sure when this podcast is going to drop, but for the people listening, we compete March 15th at Nationals, so I'll be flying out, maybe the 11th or 12th. And so the week prior to those dates is my last heavy week, which is I've got, a big deadlift tomorrow, and then big squat on Friday, big bench Saturday, and that's it.
It's just so like back to back, man. You have such a crazy schedule. You got such a crazy life. And this is like you're living up to burn your ships. You really are like, this is my goal. This is what I got to do, get my goal. So whatever it is, I'm gonna show up and let's battle. And I will, if it's rematching Cayco, if it's going with Brandon Pitre, who's like tons of hype coming into it, it's like, all right, I'll see you there then, I guess, huh?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's I don't know. I think I don't want to sound like I'm some sort of tough guy here because to me, first of all, I don't think it's as big of a deal, honestly. I know this isn't really good for marketing for me to say this, but I don't think it's as big of a deal as people make it out to be. At the end of the day, we squat, bench, and deadlift. And I've been doing this for years. I've taken thousands of reps in each of those lifts. And so this is kind of just like another training day in a way. It's just what it is, and as an athlete at this level, I feel like who am I to, feel entitled enough to a proper quote unquote competition schedule? What does that even mean? Imagine if you're a fighter and you just came off of a fight, and 2 weeks later Tyson Fury reaches out, his team reaches out, and they want to do a world heavyweight match. What are you going to say? No,
Yeah.
that could be everything for your career, and so um it's kind of like that, this is the life I've chosen, and this is the path I've chosen, and again, the key word there is chosen. Nobody is forcing me to do this. I'm not like, oh man, this shit sucks. Like, yep, got to compete again in 4 weeks. Like, no, I get to do that. It's a privilege. It's an honor to be able to do that. And I've got friends who, have had severe injuries outside of training that have set them back, and they've gotten, not only have they healed from that, but they've gotten stronger as a result. I have friends who have mental illnesses who have found ways to overcome that and still train and lift. So who am I to, bitch about a 4 week turnaround? Nonetheless, an opportunity to become a world champion. It's, to me, this was kind of like a no brainer. So yeah, man, we're all in, man. We've committed to the vision, and this just kind of seemed like a necessary step.
Dude, first off, like it is refreshing though. So many people are victim mentalities. We're like, I have to. I have to do this. I have to do that. And you're like, no, I get to. I get to do this. I get another opportunity. I get another opportunity to face like the best of the best at PA Nats and then possibly the best of the best at Worlds. And there's been, like, for instance, Jirens was at the World Championships, went to silent worker like 3 weeks later, and freaking his total went up significantly. And he had to travel to Worlds the whole nine, and his total goes up like 3 weeks later. We have plenty of data points like that. It's so yeah, for sure it's not the craziest. And you had some room in the tank here and there. Like going into Worlds, how was all the training going, first off, leading into the World Championships? Because you were saying, I am the one, if anyone's gonna break the squat world record, I'm the one who's capable of crushing it. But there was a lot of talk.
Yeah. So going into the Malta Championship, I I was feeling pretty much as strong as I had felt going into Sheffield. Um, if anything, all my training numbers were indicating a better performance than I had had at, 2023 Sheffield. And so, we were really expecting to have a crazy top end. The downside to a world championship in the IPF, especially if you're in the primetime session, is it's a completely different meet. So not only is the environment different, is the audience different, of course, the travel times, and the language barriers and all that, that's all different. What you have access to in terms of food and resources, that's all different. But perhaps the biggest and most impactful difference is the speed of the meet. And so a world championship primetime session in the IPF is a 2.5 hour meet, because the entire meet from first lift to ceremony has to be done in 3 hours. So that's a very different meet than Sheffield. Sheffield is a 4 hour meet, maybe even longer, and so you've got time. You've got time to recover. You've got time to eat and refuel and recomp. At Worlds, you kind of don't. So I've learned now, through having gone through multiple championships and just being able to, as I get more seasoned, I'm able to take a bigger step back and see the bigger picture. Now I have a little bit more of a strategy going into these things, but yeah, although we were prepped and primed for, I think, a bigger meet than we had at that previous Sheffield, we weren't able to actualize that due to some poor attempt selection, to due to some poor attempt selections, and then also due to just not being ready for the speed of that meet.
So coming out of Malta, did you think for the Sheffield you were going to get invited as a wild card?
No, I mean, prior to that meet, I was told, I don't want to, name names because I don't know, what I should and shouldn't say, but I was told that I received the wild card the first time, and it's going to be tough to do that again this time. Both I was told and Jonathan Cayco was told. So essentially, the 93s, the US 93s, were told, we were able to get you a wild card the first time, but this may not be the case this time. So do us a favor and just earn your spot, kind of thing. And that's what we were told.
That was
You know,
before Worlds. You were
that
told
was
that though.
like the day before Worlds. Yeah.
No
Um,
pressure.
yeah, exactly. Um, so yeah, I mean, I definitely, I really had no, probably about 5%. 5% of me felt like, you know what, this could be mine. But it's not necessarily that I felt like I didn't, belong there among those lifters, but it was more so I had already received a wildcard invite. Yes, I had podiumed, but I don't even know what I had totaled in Malta, but it was nowhere near what was needed in order to actually legitimately qualify for the Sheffield. And I thought that there were other athletes that could have been chosen that would have been chosen above me. So yeah, I didn't really like logically, rationally think that I would have received that wild card a second time. On that same token, I do believe, in my core, I was meant for that opportunity. I mean, I believe I'm here for a reason. And then I have more than enough evidence for myself to prove that to myself. And so a part of me definitely knew that the opportunity would come. Um, but if I were to say like rationally, practically speaking, no shot, maybe 5%, I could rationalize receiving that wild card a second time.
But the thing is, so Worlds wasn't what you wanted because you didn't get the third squat again, and but you have registered a big total before. And if
Mm.
you take that total as a percentage of the world record, which is what Sheffield is based on, you were definitely one of the top contenders for a wild card spot. You knew this. You knew everyone knew in terms of your top end, you were close enough to break that world record. And that's what they're looking for. Some people could do really well at Worlds. Some people could win Worlds and not go to Sheffield because they're not close enough to the world record. That's happened. Regardless of what you placed at Worlds, you knew you had that in your back pocket. And you have like the squat world record. So when you got it, when this invite came your way, then how were you thinking?
Yeah. So by that time, I want to say it was 50-50. Half of me felt, and I've talked about this before, half of me felt like, I don't deserve this. I didn't earn this. But then the other half of me, I would say the athlete in me, the competitor in me, knew that I deserved it, knew that I'd earned it, and knew that I was going to take advantage of it. I wasn't going to just let this opportunity slip, um, and that I would come in fighting, as I do every time. And truthfully, I kind of felt that way all the way up until I stepped on the platform, you know, and that is why I surrounded myself with people who I trust, people who can hold me accountable, tell me when I'm wrong, but also tell me when I'm right. And Ray from War Room, phenomenal dude. He's one of those people. And my mom was in the warm-up room with me at Sheffield. She's one of those people. She served as a reminder that everything I need to win is within me. It's already within me, and I deserve to be there. I belong there. I put in so much work. I've sacrificed so much, and we all have. I'm not saying I'm special. The point is 50-50, half and half. I believed I was meant to be there. I believed I didn't deserve to be there. And the wolf that wins is the wolf you feed. So, you know, I think that that balance is necessary. I think it creates a humble person, a confident person, and yeah, that was the mindset I had going into Sheffield. So when I had gotten that call, I was half and half. And I was told it was 50-50, by the way. I was told it was a coin flip, essentially.
Really?
And I respect that. Yeah, absolutely. I respect that. You know, I don't know how much of this I'm allowed to talk about, but you know, the reality is the other candidates for that wild card slot are phenomenal athletes. You know, tried and true veterans, really, really strong, phenomenal athletes. And so I don't think the decision, I don't think the decision to have me receive that wild card was due to a lack of performances or credibility in these other athletes. I think it was simply due to the potential that I had as an athlete to perform on that stage. And yeah, so that's how close it was. I mean, you know, I don't sit here and pretend like I'm some, you know, almighty sitting on a pedestal here. I mean, I'm just a kid who lifts, who strives to be the absolute fucking best at what he does. And I received an opportunity and I took it.
And once you got that opportunity, obvious storyline emerges. Well, I mean, I say emerges, obvious storyline in place. Sheffield is all about breaking records. Who is more notorious for a storyline associated with a record than you? I don't, very few people are as notoriously storyline driven attached to a record as you. And what made it a little more spicier than last time, which makes it way better for the viewer, is oh, by the way, a new guy emerges who's going after the exact same record. And what helped in terms of the hype, he wasn't very quiet about it. He laid out his opinions on what he was going to do, his opinions on what you were going to do, and we had ourselves a good old fashioned squat battle with a world record on the line. And you had this world record that you've been chasing for years. And this guy was going to sidestep in, take that world record, and possibly take the money. For you leading into this, and we're talking about, obviously, for anyone listening, Carlos Peterson Griffith, whom played the role perfectly for entertainment wise for viewers leading into it in podcasts, and on the day of, it made it spicy for any Gavin Adin fans who tuned in like, holy shit. Now, having said that, how did this change? Were you going into this mentally like, I cannot let, I can now, I can't just break the record. I have to leave with it. I can't let him come in and take the record from me when you've been chasing it this long. Or how did this change? Because he was talking about it as well.
Yeah, so in all honesty, I don't really listen to a lot of the podcasts. I don't listen to what a lot of people say. I try to block out all the noise, really, good or bad, you know. It's easy to believe the hype, you know, when people are cheering you on, and it's also easy to believe all the doubt, you know, when people aren't. And so, you know, I've learned to just kind of stay in my lane, do my thing, and you know, and just, you know, I listen to the people that are close to me, you know, that want the best for me, especially if that means telling me the truth and telling me that I'm not doing the right thing, you know. So people are gonna hold me accountable. So again, so I didn't really hear anything directly, but Carlos is a phenomenal athlete, and you know, this is powerlifting. We're not stepping into a ring. I'm not battling anyone else, and I need to make this like perfectly fucking clear. This sport is very lonely. There is not a single moment in this sport where you are doing something with someone else. Not when you train and not when you compete. There is nobody else that can lift the weight for you. There is no one else that can move the weight for you when you're in training. There's no one else who can get your nutrition in, get your sleep in, get your water in. It's on you. You can get help. I'm not saying we're all self-made and we do it alone. You can have support, but ultimately you are the executioner. That's your job. And you're not battling anyone else. You're battling yourself. That's the difference. And so I knew that my confidence is not forged in my ability. My confidence is built based on the idea that I will always give everything I have no matter what. No matter what that even is, I will always give everything. If that's 50% and 50% is my current 100%, then that's what I'm fucking giving. If I can give 150%, I'm giving 150%. I know myself and I believe that I will always give everything. I burn my ships. And so that's all I have to rely on. I've been here before. I can do it. I know I can. Like I said before, Ray and my mother both were my father. I mean, everybody that was with me, they reassured me. They reminded me everything you need to win is within you. Now, all that said, Carlos gave a great battle, and I'm very proud of him. And I know he's going to come back ferocious, as will I. But truthfully, that last squat could have been either of us. It could have been either of us. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like, oh yeah, haha, I'm that much stronger than him and I beat him. But that's not what I'm here to do. You know, I'm here to be the strongest motherfucker on the platform. But that has everything to do with me, nothing to do with anyone else. That's what it is. I was fully prepared in that meet to do exactly what I had done. Carlos had no influence on that. I was going to take the world record squat on the second attempt, and I was going to go, honestly, originally for 340 and a half, not even for 337 and a half on the third attempt. And I still would have done that had I not had to weigh in an hour before the meet started, as opposed to the usual 2 hours, and have had plenty of time to recomp from a pretty harsh water cut. So that was my intention all along. There is nobody that swayed that decision-making process for me. I don't need competition to think that I can, or that I need to push myself. I don't need competitors to make me want to go beyond my limits. That's not how I work. You know, whether there's competitors or not, again, I'm the one that's lifting the weight. There's nothing that they can do that can help me or hinder me from doing what I need to do on that platform. It's all on me. So fuck everyone else, respectfully. It has nothing to do with them. It's all about me. So it's my plan, my vision, and as long as I execute, I've always said this, and I truly do not mean this from a place of arrogance. The people who truly know me know that that's the case. I truly believe that I have the potential to be great. And so if I beat myself by becoming the absolute strongest, best version of myself, I guarantee you winning will happen by necessity. I will be the best among others. If I can beat myself and become the strongest version of Gavin fucking Adin, then I will be the strongest 93 in the world. I truly believe that. The caveat is I also believe that everyone else can be that too. I believe that there's limitless potential within everyone. We were all born to be great, but you still have to carve it. You still have to mold it. You still have to do the work. I'm willing to do the work. And so I've done the work. And that's why, again, whether it's Carlos or Cayco or any of my competition, all of whom I respect, they'll never influence or sway my decision making when it comes to what I plan to do on the platform and how far I plan on pushing my body. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, yeah, it does for sure. But it's interesting because like there's some people who are driven by what other people say. Like kind of will look for enemies and create them. Russell Orhe will look for things to get himself wound up. You don't look for exterior motivations, or doesn't, or just not like that, anyways.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes there are things that happen or things that are said that it's not that it gets to me, but there's nothing that anyone could say that I haven't already said to myself. Uh, and so for me, man, I truly do believe in the power of having an internal locus of control. I can't control the external. Dude, I'm not kidding when I say this. Carlos could have gotten that third squat. My third squat could have gotten overturned. He could have walked away with the world record. This wasn't a clean sweep, man. This wasn't like you see what I'm trying to say, right? Like
Mm.
it's not about that. And so for me, man, it has nothing to do with them because I'm not in control of them. I can't control what they're capable of or what they're not. I've met a lot of fucking liars in this game. I've met a lot of fake people. You can't trust what people say. Sometimes I can't even trust what I say. So truthfully, it's not about them. I'll never be able to control them. I'm about controlling me. What's my mental? What's my attitude? When things get hard, how do I respond? That's what I'm in control of. So that's what I'm going to focus on. Let the chips fall where they fall. I've said this before, man, and I still stand true to this. I got into this sport to be strong, man. I got into this sport to be the strongest fucking person on the platform, not to be the best power lifter. I know that sounds a little controversial, but that's the truth. I'm here to be strong. Yeah, there's skill involved, but I'm here to be the strongest. That's what drives me. That's what motivates me to see just how fucking far I can push myself. right? And so if that's the case, and if somebody else is stronger than me on that day, then so be it. That's okay. I've always said I want all of my competitors to show up healthy and strong, to be the strongest they've ever been, because that's what makes it worth it for me. Not only do I get better as a result, iron sharpens iron, but on top of that, if I win, it's worth something because I had competitors who pushed me to win. I had competitors who were difficult to win against. That makes it worth it. People don't remember the David and Goliath story because Goliath was some punk ass bitch. Goliath was a fucking mutant, absolute animal, giant, feared by everyone. And a shepherd boy who has faith in Christ defeats him with a fucking slingshot. That's why people remember that story, because his competitor was worth it. Winning was worth it. It meant something. Wouldn't have meant anything if he took out a sheep, but he took out a wolf, and that's why it meant something. And that's what I'm here to do. So it's not about the external, not at all. The only thing I can say is that in competition, it absolutely helps me focus and lets me laser in, lock in, kind of enter that flow state, so to speak, when I can feel the heat from competitors, which is really hard to feel in the sport of powerlifting because again, it's mano a mano. There's nobody that I'm going against necessarily. It's really just me versus the weight, I guess. But unlike in football, or any other sport where there's contact or where you truly are going head to head against someone, it's not like that. So it's rare to feel that kind of heat. And I will say that I absolutely felt that heat going into that third. But it wasn't a heat like, oh my God, there's so much pressure. It was just a calm focus. It was like, I've been here, man. You know how many times I've fucking done this? You know how many times I've been counted out? You know how many times I've come up from the fucking bottom just to get knocked down again and come right back up? I'm violent. I'm violent. That's why a lot of people don't like me, is because I'm raw and I'm violent. I'm true to who I am. And I just know I can be great. So all I have to do is execute. That's it. And I execute every fucking day in the gym. That's the whole point. So for me, it gave me a little extra push, maybe, but everything else came from within, man. Everything else came from within. You can't let people have that kind of power over your emotions. If you allow people to manipulate your emotions like that, that means they have power over you. And
Mm.
nothing shall have mastery over me except for God Almighty. That's the truth. So, and that's what I have to work towards as a man, is to master myself, master my mind. So no way am I going to allow another man master me and master my mind. That's just not how I operate. And I'm not saying it's easy to do that, but that's just what I believe to be true.
Well, things are, first off, when you have mentality like that, it is a lot easier to perform and not have fear of situations. To actually be like, if I can't put my hands on it, then I can't bother with it. If I have no control over it, I'm not gonna let it play into my mind. Um, so that's huge to be able to walk into something like Sheffield Worlds Nationals and just alleviate that stress. But you also said, because you have this, you described your personality as violent, which I like, first off. But because you have this personality, you say that's why people don't like me. But I think you're definitely one of the most popular powerlifters we have. Who do you think doesn't like you?
Well, popular doesn't necessarily mean liked, my friend. I think I feel like at this point I'm either loved or hated, and I'm okay with that. I'm cool with that. Um, yeah, and let me clarify too, by violent, I don't mean outrageous and uncontrolled, and infantile in a way. It's a very calm control. There's a quote from Dr. Jordan Peterson that I really like, and I might butcher it, but I believe it goes something like this. He says, "The only thing that can defeat a dangerous man is an even more dangerous good man." And that's what I strive to be. So that hopefully that clarifies what I mean by I have a violent personality. Yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. But I don't know. I don't know who doesn't like me. Unfortunately in this sport, I don't think people tell you that to your face. I think it's more of a group chat kind of thing. It seems like in this culture, but um,
That's a
but
fact.
besides, man, it's not for me to know or for me to decide. Also, I want to be completely honest with you. It's no one's responsibility to like me. It's no one's responsibility to fuck with me. It's no one's responsibility even to understand me. It's okay. Believe me, first of all, I know I can be a jerk. I know I can say stupid things. I know I can. And that's okay. you know? And when I do say something that I feel like, or I do something that I feel like, ooh, that doesn't align well with my character, I try and stand up and apologize for it or make it right. But at that same token, if you don't like me, okay, go fucking do what you want to do. I don't care. That's not going to affect me. You understand? Like I have to deal with the consequences to my decisions. I have to. I appreciate your opinion. I appreciate what you think, but I'm the one who has to deal with the consequences to my decisions. Right. And so I better be fucking sure as hell that the decision I make is a decision that I think is right for me. If I'm always making decisions that you think are right for me, guess what, buddy? Joe Schmo down the block thought I should have made the opposite decision, right? And
Mm.
the other person down the other block thought I should have went the middle route. And the other, you know, it can go on and on and on. But again, who has to deal with the consequences to these decisions? I do. So I'd rather own who I am, trust in my ability to sharpen who I am, become as good of a person as I can be, and better myself. And again, I've got a close group of people, man, around me that I am so blessed to call family and friends that they'll tell me when I'm off. They'll tell me if I'm being fucked up. They'll tell me if I'm being too much, you know, if I need to change some things about myself, if I need to improve my character, they'll tell me, and they have told me in the past. That's why I keep them around, you know. So yeah, I don't know who likes me and who doesn't, man, but it's all good, brother. It's all good, man. You
Well,
know, it's okay. I understand.
first off, there's another you. You sound wise beyond years, mature beyond years. I'm going to ask you the difference between Gavin Adin when we first met and this Gavin Adin. But before we get to that, there's a saying that says if everybody likes you, you have a serious problem. Because
Mhm.
probably you're not being you.
But you know what,
Probably,
Mike? No, go ahead. What were you gonna say? I'm sorry, I cut you off.
well, just probably you're a people pleaser, but you're not looking out for yourself. And nobody even really knows who you are. We all know that person that's always cheerfully up, but they don't stand on anything. Every time they're pushed, they fold. And it's you never really get a sense of who they are. You're
Mm,
always like every time you're in a room, you can't just go 10 toes down and handle your business on almost anything. Where then nobody actually feels close to you.
yeah,
Nobody's actually close to that person. You have no close ties because you don't feel relatable and people don't feel like they know you. I don't feel like I know somebody if they don't actually have some kind of moral backbone or they're backed up to the wall. And they don't got to be like super aggressive with it, but you need to know where they actually stand for real. And there are people who that I know that are like just way too easygoing, way too people pleasing. And I'm like, I feel like we can't get tight like that.
yeah. Well, Mike Tyson says if you're a friend to everyone, then you're an enemy to yourself, and I and
Yeah,
I
that's
believe
good.
that. Yeah, I
You
believe
got
that.
a
You
lot of
know.
good quotes, huh?
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. None of this is original, man. None of this is original. I try and learn from the greats as best I can. So
It's so I do think probably just by I don't know. See, here's the thing. I obviously love you and I can't see why someone wouldn't like you. So I'm like, why would you not like Gavin?
you're blinded
But
by the cute smile, my friend. You gotta look past the smile of the cigar, doggy.
so I'm like, what? How is this possible? Especially with like everything you do at Worlds in Sheffield. Like you're such a showman and you murder it whenever you show up. When you showed up on this one, did it all play in your mind with how many times the squat like got overturned and it was so controversial and everything around it? Did you feel like when you broke the record, a monkey was off your back? And going into the third and final squat, was any of that playing, or by the time you hit the platform? Because I could see if it happened once, but this was like several times in a row. Like this was like a common thing for you.
No, so in the past, that's definitely what immediately would come to mind, especially once I got to that third squat. But that was a lot of the time. I think that was mainly because a lot of times I didn't trust myself. I trusted everyone else. You know, I placed my trust in my coaches and the game day strategists and, you know, the people on the podcast doing the reviews. And, you know, I trusted everybody else. I said, oh, okay, yeah, I guess that makes sense. Sure, I'll do that. But by doing that, it's not so much that they don't that those people didn't deserve my trust. It's so much so that I deserved my trust and I wasn't giving it to myself. You know, and the more that you ignore yourself and the more you ignore your instincts and what you think and what you believe to be true, then you can no longer you're almost deteriorating the trust that you can place in yourself, your confidence, right? And so that's kind of what was happening. And so basically going into the Sheffield, especially after the experience at Malta, I said, fuck this, man. I'm doing what I believe to be true. Bro, I didn't even get on a coaching call with my programming coach. And it was no disrespect to him. It was just, I don't care what your game plan is. I'm sticking to what I think is right. And that's what I did. And if nothing else, it gave me elite confidence. But also, dude, man, I was so focused. It was just a laser focus. All I was thinking about was my technique and what I need to do to make it move, because I know I have the strength. I know I have the strength. So it's just about execution. And that's the beautiful thing about facing your demons, I think, in life. But, let's keep it in the context of training. If you have an issue, face it. Don't dance around it. Just face it. I have a depth issue. It's very difficult for my body to hit depth based on how much muscle mass I have, my limb lengths. It just is. It's difficult for me to hit convincing depth. We had to find a way. And so we found a way. And that's what we trained. I don't think anybody would argue with the depth that I was hitting in my training for all of the weeks and months leading into this Sheffield. Night and day difference, definitely, between that and all the years prior. So we faced the demon, and that gave me the confidence so that on game day, when it came down to that third squat, I wasn't thinking to myself, oh, fuck, man, I might not hit depth. If I do, if it gets too white, I might get overturned. I wasn't even thinking about any of that, man. All I was thinking about was like, find that midfoot, let the bar roll back, go straight down, come straight up like an elevator, you're good. Lock it in, man. It's that simple. So all you got to do is just lift it. And that's how it felt, man, honestly.
Let me pause this for 1 sec. I got some noise in the background I want to kill. 1 second here. All right, dog. Let's take a watch at this
3:37 by Gavin Adin.
He's strong enough. We know he's strong enough. He needs to keep that focus, execute perfectly like he did in his second.
A lot of people stopping him, saying there's rumors you're going to go for the world record in your second attempt. Please, Gavin, exercise caution. Gavin throwing caution to the wind, attempting on his second, takes it. 3:37 for his third. Mr. Burn, your ships has arrived, and if you smell the smoke, it's already too late.
Just the same as the last one, Gavin.
30 seconds.
We've never seen Gavin this strong, nor technically on point with his squats. If he holds serve for his third, he should hit this.
He's had a taste of being a world record holder now.
Looked in the pocket. The crowd likes it. The jury, the judges. 2-1. 2-1. We all brace ourselves for a jury intervention. Gavin celebrating with the crowd.
I'm going to watch the jury.
How did this?
They do not seem to be interested.
How did this feel?
Nobody's moving, and it looks like it's going to stand. And Gavin Adin extends the world record once again. And the story on Gavin Adin, if he goes 3 for 3 in squats, he's a problem. Could this be the day?
So what were you thinking right there when you smashed that? You went 3 for 3 on squats finally.
I mean, I think a part of me felt like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders, I guess figuratively and literally. But honestly, man, I wasn't, because people have asked me this, how do you feel that you finally hit the world record? And it really doesn't mean anything to me. In my mind, I have hit this for the last 2 years, so this really wasn't anything special to me. And honestly, I hadn't even hit what I had wanted to hit, which was a 340.5, which would have been 751 in pounds. And so I felt even just a little bit disappointed, that I hadn't hit what I know I'm capable of hitting. And again, man, I've been building towards that world record for so long that it really just kind of lost its touch. It lost its taste. Similar to how
Really?
I expect.
That's crazy to hear from me.
Yeah, because to me, man, again, bro, like I've been squatting around that weight for so long. So for me, it's not special. It's not, like the deadlifting 760 or 345, I believe that is in kilos. That meant more to me than hitting 743 or 744, whatever it is, on the squat. Because that's something that, I had never done. So Yeah, man. I think I'll feel really proud of my squats when I hit 804, or if I hit over 800, when I hit over 800, and set a world record there. Anything under that, I feel like, I don't know, it's just not as impressive to me, it just doesn't do it. Similar to like what I think when I finally win the world championship in the 93s, I don't think it's gonna move me in any way. Because honestly, man, dude, like I've become so numb to failing over and over and over again that I've also kind of become numb to winning as well. Like, and when I say winning, I mean just even small wins. Because the next day is back to work, no matter what. Like win or lose, happy or sad, good or bad, day one is still fucking day one. It's still back to work. It doesn't change. When the highs are high, you're here in the middle. When the lows are low, you're here in the middle. And every single setback I've had, man, the time it's taken for me to just get my mind right and get right back to work has just gone down and gone down and gone down to now it's basically nothing. It's like, okay, cool, great. What's next?
Isn't that
That's it.
scary? Do you feel like, because right now you're in your athletic prime, it won't last forever. Just period in life. You got to appreciate those moments. Is it scary to you to be like, man, am I missing moments that I should be feeling more? Are you worried about that? Or,
No, because the job's not done. I'm not a world champion yet, an open world champion yet. I haven't won Sheffield yet. I haven't even technically broken the world record in the 93 class yet. I've got nothing to celebrate, in my opinion. World records are cool, but they'll be broken. They come and go. And it's funny. Lane Norton, he and I have a good relationship. I've shared just a few conversations with him back and forth, but he's somebody who I've always been inspired by and I mean I continue to learn from. He's crushing it in the nutrition space. And he had given me some praise that I'm really grateful for when I had hit the world record squat, because he had broken the world record in the squat in the 93 class when he was in his prime. And I believe
yeah,
at that time he had hit 668. And that was a big thing, at that time. And he had been chasing that for a while. So unlike a lot of other athletes, I think he truly understands and knows the depth to, what I'm trying to accomplish. And so to receive that from him was amazing. But I think similar to him, you move on. It is what it is. It's done. It's done. It's a part of history. It's done. What's next? That's the mindset. That's that violent mindset, that burn your ships mindset, that go all in mindset. There's no looking back. You can't go back. So you might as well not even look back. And that's the point. You go all in. You burn
true.
your
You
ships.
can't live in your past. Your past is done.
Right.
Frig, man. So let's watch another video real quick. This one, poor Taylor Atwood, dog. It was his first day on the job. You gotta do him like this. Well, let's watch your interview with Taylor Atwood.
All right, so we have Mr. Burn Your Ships here. Just hit a world record squat. How you feeling?
I feel good. The job's not done, obviously, but I feel good. This is a long time coming. It's less than I was gunning for, but man, we had the worst water cut of my life. We weighed in an hour before lifting started. So for me to be able to recomp, feel the way I was feeling and push through, I mean, this man knows better than anybody. It's a heart of a champion, and it's not easy. This is hard, and I think when you surround yourself with people who reinforce you, people like my coach and handler Ray, my mom's in the back, you're here. I mean, you can't fucking lose. It's in here and it's in here.
I love the emotion. So coming now into this,
So you dropped the F bomb. You gave Taylor the F bomb. It's day one, and he's got a defuse. He's like, all right, take it easy, boy, all right?
I love the energy. I love the
Throwing
passion,
up-
but you gotta chill the fuck out, brother.
It's not like it's like if I'm a server and you show up and you start throwing around tables and shit. It's like, all right, take it easy. It's day one for me, man. It's my first day on the job, and now I got to deal with this. Nobody in all my years, nobody had sworn on a stream yet. And you're always covering new ground.
Hey, brother.
And Taylor's got to be the guy holding the mic and be like, okay, holy shit, that wasn't the script. What do we do here, fellas? What's going on? This is live? Oh shit. He's like,
He handled that great. I didn't even notice that.
He handled it well. You're almost like, and this fucking guy's here. How you doing, man? You almost just went totally. And Taylor kept him pushing. He laughed it off and kept it pushing right to the next, right to the next question. But did you? I was watching that live when you dropped the F bomb. We all in the booth went, well, there it is. There it is. There's
Yep.
the first one. I've never, in all my years of like the IPF world, and obviously two Sheffield now, like Gavin broke the ice, kept it real.
You know what?
When you
If somebody had to do it, I think it's best that it was me.
that's the violent attitude.
That's right,
You know
baby.
what I'm saying? words hurt and words mean something, and you use them pointedly with Taylor, and he's like, God damn, we're gonna go viral together. That's what
Yeah.
he's thinking. So what when you dropped the F bomb, did you realize like, oh shit, I just dropped the F bomb on the stream, and you're like, ah, whatever it is, what it is.
Dude, I didn't even notice. I would do it again. I will do it again. I'm pretty uncensored, pretty unfiltered. I tell it like it is, and I try my best to I try my best to speak from the heart, and I let my mind kind of guide my words, not create the words, So, if that makes sense in a figurative way, I really, I don't know, man. I have a fear of being inauthentic because to me, being inauthentic is also almost like being average. I think we try to fit in a lot of times, and it's a strong pull, You want to fit in, you want to do the right thing, you want to follow the rules. That's just not me, man. It's just not me. Just the path I've chosen, I've had to carve it, you know. So I don't know. I don't want to give myself, credit that isn't due, but I do consider myself a pioneer. I do consider myself somebody who, maybe sometimes I don't listen to what everybody else has to say, and I don't just abide by what everybody else thinks. I try and stay true to myself, but I do it with the best of intention. I wasn't trying to, be rude or disrespectful or anything like that. I was just being me. Um, so yeah, I probably will do it again.
I mean, it's legitimately how you felt. And in terms of, I know it's funny to be like, am I a pioneer? The thing is, where we are in powerlifting, you are. Even though powerlifting's been around for so long, we hadn't, it's your generation that got on Eurosport, is about to get on CBS. God, I hope you don't swear on CBS, but let's see what they do. Let's see what let's see how the CBS executives like Gavin Adin went after he breaks a world record or wins a world title. But you were like on the first Sheffield, the second Sheffield. You are covering new ground. This is all new to us. The things you're doing in the reach that we have in terms of powerlifting, it 100% is new. So you are like a pioneer in a lot of respects like that. Um, but yeah, I mean, I guess it kind of is what it is. Let's see what happens. Especially as we get bigger, and start entering into more television spaces like CBS and whatnot. I'm wondering how things start looking and appearing. And do you feel like you'd be like, fuck it, you're gonna talk the way you're gonna talk anyways, even if it's
Yeah,
major
man.
television?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I am my brand, the way I look at branding, my like a personal branding is you take your personality and you bring it to an extreme and you choose which extremes you're going to show, right? That's what social media is essentially. It's not, you're not showing all of you and every essence of you and every part of you. It's, you have a brand. People need something that they can rely on when they go to visit your page, right? They know that they're going to see skits. They know they're going to see motivation. They know they're going to see education. You need a brand, right? It wouldn't make sense if Nike started selling pizza. They have a brand. And so, I have a brand. And when it comes to personal branding, I don't believe in being something I'm not. I don't believe in pretending to be someone I'm not. I just try to be me, man. I try to be me. And for better, for worse. So I'll always try and be me. I'm not the type to sell my soul. And yeah, man. I mean, that kind of explains it pretty well. I have no interest in trying to fake something or I won't sacrifice who I am and the message I have to give for the sake of someone else's agenda, or prerogative. So yeah. I mean, that said, I'm not gonna go and curse every sentence and absolutely
That'd be
blow up
fake
live
too.
and make it unwatchable. Exactly. That would be fake too. That's not me. But I speak from a place of passion. I'm a very passionate person, very passionate. maybe I used the wrong word before. Maybe I'm not violent. I'm passionate. You know, I'm very, very passionate. I'm violently passionate. Let's go with that.
There it
I'm
is.
violently passionate. And you can't really control passion, man. Passion's like a fire, you know. Every flame is different from second to second. There's no way of controlling that, you know. And so yeah, I try and speak from the heart. And like I said, I am very passionate, and I'm not gonna hide that. I'm not going to dim my shine, you know.
We've seen it. Like you talked about it last time. The famous backstage altercation to the celebrations to like you are like a ball of fire. You know what Mike Tyson said, and this was a good one. You like Mike Tyson quotes him breaking it down. They asked him when he came out of retirement at like 54 and fought Roy Jones, and you've probably seen the training clips, or you have seen the training clips, look ferocious at 54. And they asked him, like, what did he feel like as a 54-year-old man coming down to the ring to fight again? What does that feel like? What does it? And he said, I told myself, I am not 54 years old. I am energy coming down to the ring. I don't try to put an age on a label on whatever. I'm just energy coming down to the ring. I don't give a fuck how long you've been here, how long you're going to be here, anything. Nothing matters. I'm just energy coming down to the ring. That's it.
Yeah.
And it was a weird way of looking at it. It just kind
Yeah,
of,
I think it's what happens when an unstoppable force becomes an immovable object. You know, the two combine, the two merge. You're unconquerable at that point. And that's a spirit. That's not flesh. That's a spirit. You know, for me, and I don't like to push this or anything like that. I don't like to, fucking virtue signal or anything like that. But for me, a lot of that comes from my faith, in God and in Christ. And so that's a spirit. I know who I am, and I know what I have. I know what I've been blessed with and what I am promised. Um, and when you walk that walk, it's a different feeling. It's a different energy. Yeah, it's a different energy. But that's what I try and bring is I bring a different spirit to the game. Some people think it's cheesy and corny. I totally get that, but to me, it is everything. Don't get me wrong. I squat, bench, and deadlift. It's just lifting weights. I get that 100%. But I don't think anybody just stumbles into greatness. I don't think anybody gets anywhere special by not taking it seriously. I think you have to take it seriously. That's kind of part of the delusion, you know? And I take pride in that. So
I mean, everything is that when you try to talk like it's just squat, bench, deadlift, like when other people try to break it down like that, basketball is literally just throwing a fucking ball in a hoop. Baseball is all of everything is that. Unless you're a freaking doctor, like your dad, what are we talking about here? We're all sports are playing games and everything is you could break down everything like that. Nothing means anything. But I don't know. So when people try to derive like that, start breaking things down like that, it's like, man, there's a reason why thousands of people are showing up live to watch you, and thousands of people are watching online, and thousands of people are following you online on your social media as well. There's a reason for that. So it's more than just weightlifting. So going back to Sheffield, if your bench press, if you would bench press, you didn't even need your previous PR. If you hit your previous PR, you would have won Sheffield, let alone the Battle of the 93s. How was bench going into this? Were you injured? What was going on with that?
No, definitely not injured. We had a really strong training block, the block prior to the last block going into Sheffield. So for people who didn't follow that because I did a poor job of explaining it, my blocks are 4 weeks long typically, right? Sheffield happened to be the week 5. So basically what we did was our last block was 4 weeks of a peak, 1 week of a taper, Sheffield. Okay. The block prior to that, so that means the 4 weeks prior to that, so about 9 weeks out, my bench was phenomenal. I was benching 220 in training, which is my personal best, which I hadn't done in training in years. However, the block after, so the block closest to Sheffield, the block leading into Sheffield, my bench did take a dip, probably by about 2.5 kg. So the best I had hit in training was 478, which I think is like 217.5. So in my mind, I was like, you know what? Bench for me, as of right now, until I can get it to consistently be over 500 pounds, there's no need to throw Hail Marys with it like I can with squat or even with deadlift now. It's really more about sustaining the total, right? So all I need is 474, 215. Like that's what I need, right? Plus or minus 2.5. Great day, we take 217.5, walk away with 478. Great. That's fine. If we can take 220, perfect. The only reason why I had taken 220 back in Malta was because I kind of had to. I had no choice, because Arian had put in the 310 on squat for the second attempt, the 683. That's all we walked away with, the 683. And I didn't hit depth according to the IPF. Well, it got overturned, the third squat, whatever that was, 722 or 728, whatever that was on the third. So we only had a 683 squat going into bench at World. So I had no choice but to go for as much as I could on bench. And we hit the 220. But that's a risk that I just didn't think was worth taking, especially because we had a horrendous water cut and recomp situation going into this Sheffield. And so given the water cut situation, and of course, just knowing where my top end was on bench, I figured a safe call would be 468. So that's what we went with, 212.5, I think that is. And there was more in the tank on that for sure. But again, given the fact that, like, dude, the head judge, man, was having us hold that shit out for a minute. It felt like at least a solid 3 to 5 seconds. So between that and, you never know. You don't want to really leave things to chance. So I figured be a little bit more conservative. That's why we went with that attempt. Wasn't injured or anything like that. Bench strength was maybe slightly down from what my bench strength was going into Worlds. But yeah, I definitely undershot by a bit, maybe 2.5 kilo on that.
Now let's talk about this cut because we moved a little too. We moved past this, but this cut was the toughest cut of your career. How did that cut come about? You came
Yeah,
in
so
heavier, wanted to be a
no,
little heavier.
no, dude, it actually really wasn't. I was actually on point, man. It was just a bad decision that was made. And I don't want to, blame anyone in particular. It's very much a part. Ultimately, it is my decision. These decisions are my decision. I take full responsibility for them. So I want to make that clear. But essentially what happened was, just to be completely transparent, I was pretty much like on point for a smooth cut the morning of. So I had saunaed a little bit the night before. The morning that I woke up, I think I was 95.5 kg. So, I woke up around 9 a.m. That's more than enough time to sit in a sauna and cut, to lose that. Not fun by any means, but, 2.5 kilos, given what is that, close to, 4 or 5 hours there, maybe a little bit more, that would have been fine. However, it was recommended to me from my nutrition coach. He thought we should do a hot bath. Now, I've never taken a hot bath. I've never done hot baths before. So I had no idea how this would go. And at first I was kind of like, I don't think this is the day to do that. I don't think this is the day to take that kind of risk when we never do this. I always use the sauna to cut. But, he felt that that was a decision to make. So we made that decision. And as you know, with hot baths, they aren't 20-minute rounds or 10-minute rounds in a sauna. It's 30-minute rounds, 45-minute rounds in a hot bath. So you lose a lot of time. And so the first round was about 35 minutes. And I think we lost about 600 grams. So we were like, oh, okay, cool. Like we could keep this up. Spent the next like 2 hours pretty much in the hot bath, didn't lose a single thing. And then it was like, oh shit, we need to get to the fucking sauna.
How long? Sorry, 6 hours?
No. So it was the first 35 minutes. So around
Yeah.
basically from like 9:30 to about 10:15, 10:20, first round of hot bath, lost about 600 grams, right? So we got down to about 95 kg at that point. Then I spent about another 2 hours total messing with the hot bath, maybe a little bit more. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure it was around 12:30-ish. No, it might have been 11:30-ish when I went down to the sauna. So yeah, somewhere between an hour or two extra of sitting in that hot bath and didn't lose a single thing. So at that point we were like, fuck, all right, we really, and again, my nutrition coach was thinking that we still had plenty of time and all this other stuff. And I kind of, I knew otherwise, but I wanted to trust him. So that didn't work out. So Ray and I were like, fuck it, let's just go to the sauna. We went to the sauna and, just brutal sessions back to back to back to back because we just didn't have the time to, really rest in between those sauna rounds. And even then we still made weight by the skin of our teeth. I mean, we only weighed in once, but we had to weigh in an hour before lifting started. So we weighed in
I
at
thought you had to weigh
2:30.
in twice.
No, dude, I didn't walk in to that building until 2:25,
Oh,
2:30.
but
Yeah.
you showed up late, is what it was.
An hour late. Yeah. So weigh-ins were at
Man, how
130, let's say.
stressed were you,
130.
dude? How
Oh my God.
stressed are you? It's
Well, so
Sheffield. You're showing up an hour late, and you got to squat for a
yeah.
world record on your second attempt in an hour.
Yeah. Well, for people who don't know too, I mean, I do a big water cut too. I cut about 5 kilos of water, 10 pounds of water, 11 pounds of water. So as you know, the first half of that, not the end of the world. It sucks, but it's not the end of the world. It's the last half, right? It's really like the last 0.7 kilos that it's like, holy shit, man. This is hard. Um, and yeah, I mean, it is stressful because you're looking at the time, and every time you go upstairs to check your weight on the calibrated scale, you're still over, and you're thinking like, fuck, man, like I feel like shit. I'm dehydrated. I'm stressed out. Now I'm losing on recomp time, and I still have to try and win this. Like, there's a lot there, man. But first of all, have to give tons of fucking credit to Ray because Ray did it with me. Like bro, Ray, this record was just as much his record as it was mine. Sheffield was just as much for me as it was for him. I mean, this man, I've never had anybody go to the extremes that he did to make sure, like, just throughout the whole week, everything mentally, emotionally, and then of course physically, him being there. I mean, really, genuinely was there 110%. My family was there, my girlfriend was there. I had support, man. I didn't do this alone. I truly believe that God was with me, so I didn't do this alone. But all that to say, yeah, it was mentally very stressful, very hard. But I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I had made up my mind I was gonna be a champion. I made up my mind I had gone all in. I made up my mind that no matter what the fuck happened, I was gonna make this happen. I was going to do the job that I came here to do. And there's no emotion about that. There's no, oh man, but I feel this way. Your feelings lie to you. Your emotions lie to you. Your mind will lie to you. You have to master yourself. And it's very hard to do, but you have to. And so I was capable of doing that. I'm blessed to have been able to have done that. I told myself that I don't give a shit how I feel. There's a job that has to be done. We're going to fucking do it. There is no plan B. There's no other option. We're all in. We're here. And I'm not trying to stand here on some pedestal saying I'm a tough guy and oh yeah, you just deal with it and blah, blah. It's fucking hard, dude. It's hard. And it is scary and it is stressful. And it's not scary because, oh my God, I don't know if I can do this. It's scary because we put in so much work for these moments. So much work. And what? I'm going to let it all go because of this? Because I'm dehydrated, because I only have an hour to recomp, and because of blah, 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 blah. There will always be circumstances. But actually, a wise man by the name of Ryan Lapadat once told me a quote: circumstances don't make the man, they simply reveal the man to himself. And that is in my fucking arsenal now. And I truly stand by that. The circumstances will not make me because I will not let it. They only reveal me to myself. And if nothing else, it provides me with a blueprint of what needs to be improved upon. And if at best, it shows me, motherfucker, I am the storm. I am the reckoning. The fucking sauna should be afraid of me. The recomp should be afraid of me. Give me an hour. Good. And that's the mindset that I had, that no matter what, the job had to get done. Doesn't matter how I feel. The job has to get done. We're here. We're all in. We're doing it. We're going to give every fucking thing we have. Bro, when I tell you, man, I was dizzy all the way up until that fucking third attempt. I was dizzy. I mean, you know how it is when you're chugging sodium and all, like bloated and lightheaded and all these shit. Like, man, dude, my mom will tell you in the warm-up room, she was like, dude, I can't say she was frightened for me, but she was definitely frustrated with how things went because it's tough for her to see, her son and going through all that. And I'm proud of her for being a trooper and standing by me. And Ray did a great job of giving me the confidence when, he loves telling that story. He saw my warm up with 550 and dude, I was like all over the place, off balance and shit. And dude, I turned around, he was like, dude, that was great. That was great. Keep it going, but in his head, he's thinking like, holy fuck. But that's it, man. I have a team that supported me. We went all in and there was no turning back. And again, man, that's where my confidence comes from. It's not that I believe I'm, all that and special and also the shit. I don't. I really don't. It's just that I believe I'm willing to give everything it takes. And that's what I have control over. I don't have control over what Carlos does. I don't have control over what Cayco or Penna. I mean, I'm battling everyone. I don't have control over what Jesus chooses to do. I don't have control over any of that. I don't even have control really over the water cut when it comes to situations like that. It is what it is. You have to adapt. There's some things that just happen that are outside of your control. It's okay. So instead, I place my trust in my own ability to, no matter what, give everything I have. And as long as I do that, then at the very least, I can walk away from an outcome knowing I gave everything I have.
When did I tell you that? Do you remember?
That was World South Africa, brother. When you said I went out on my shield and I pulled that 733 for third place briefly when I got stapled by like 705 or whatever it was on the second attempt.
That's right. That's right, man. I remember. I saw you afterwards.
Yeah.
We, I still remember the look of your face when we linked up. There was another one where I seen you. I went backstage at Malta after the squat world record, and you were about to bench press. You're going to go into the bench press, and they took it from you again. And we had another talk, and it was about like, we don't care. We're dead inside when these things happen. Feelings get left behind, and we just move forward. And you went out the bench and freaking hit a bench pair and medaled or on bench, which like whatever. I know for you, if it ain't winning, it's not everything, but still, when you rebound and you do things like that, it does test your character, huh? When they say
Yeah.
like sports will like these situations will reveal your character. It's an opportunity to show people what your character is all about.
Yeah. Forget about showing people. It's about showing yourself. You have to live with yourself.
That's true.
You're the one who has to go home and be with yourself. And that's one of the hardest things to do, man.
You consistently throughout this podcast, and it's a beautiful way of looking at it. It's an opportunity to audit yourself. Fuck what everybody else,
Yeah.
man. You get to find out what am I made of. And some people maybe don't want that audit, so they avoid it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or they're too worried about what other people think.
For now. And by the way, we're all human. I feel that 100%. And you know why I'm able to make those decisions? Because I've been in the situation where I let fear overcome me and I didn't go out on my shield. I faced adversity and ran away. I lived a large part of my young life doing that. You know, I'm great at football. I'm doing my thing. I'm a stud and all this stuff. And I go to a school that's way harder, one of the best programs in the country. The moment I face adversity, oh shit, I'm not first string anymore. I gave in. I don't know what work is. I don't know what it means to get better. I guess I just don't have the talent. Okay, I guess that's it. And then I step back on the field to try and give it another go, getting my dick kicked in. Like, oh man, I guess this isn't for me. No, that's just the inner bitch, as David Goggins would put it. I let fear overcome me in other circumstances, in other areas of my life, in different aspects, relationships, all these other things. I had to learn. I had to go through all of that to understand what it really was. So that now when I face it, I understand it, I see it, and I can overcome fear. And I love, man, not to keep fucking listing quotes, but I feel like this is turning into like a Chris Williamson podcast. But I love Customato. And
Oh,
one
hell
of the
yeah.
things, I'm definitely, don't quote me exactly, but I'm definitely paraphrasing here. But the hero and the coward are the same. They feel the same thing. They feel the same fear. The hero and the coward are no different in what they feel. They both feel the fear. The difference is that the hero faces it and the coward runs from it. And so it's a choice. The power is in choice. You're not born with, oh, I guess I'm born being special. I guess I'm born the hero. It doesn't work that way. You're not born the coward. It's something that you have to cultivate. It's something you have to work on and sculpt. But it's a choice that you can make. The caveat is only you can make that choice. No one can make it for you. And that's what I was trying to get at earlier. It's not that, I blame other people for the decision, me trusting in them. And, yeah, trust your coaches. Absolutely. But remember, they don't have to deal with the consequences to your decision. They also can't make that decision for you. So you have to take ownership of that. You do. And again, I'm not going to sit here on some high horse. I learned all of that the hard way. I've been through that. And I remember the shame of turning away, of running from the fear. And I will never do that again. That's why I started to cultivate this mindset of going all in, no matter what. No matter what. And my faith gives me strength too, man. I trust that no matter what the outcome is, it's the one that's best for me, and I will learn from it. I will turn it into an opportunity. No problems, only opportunity. That's just the mindset I've been able to cultivate, and I believe that that's what carries me through. Yeah, it's a choice, man. It's a choice.
You think, that one quote, sports don't build a man's character, they reveal it. But do you think sports can build a man's character?
Oh, absolutely, man. Absolutely, because sports will introduce a certain degree of adversity that you otherwise would not have been introduced to. there are forms of adversity that you cannot experience in sports, but there's a lot of adversity that you can experience through sports itself, especially team sports. But, in powerlifting, it's tough, man, because it really is like a lonely sport, and it's not there yet. People forget what coaches do. Like, coaches aren't just programmers. That's not like if you played football growing up, if you played hockey, I mean, even if you have a boxing coach, a coach is so much more than a programmer, somebody who designs a training system. So much more than, in fact, that's the basics. Like, that's the baseline of a great coach, is knowing what the training system should be, what the routine should be. The other stuff, knowing the players, knowing how to speak into their players' lives, that's what makes a phenomenal coach. That's what made Cuss so great. He molded Tyson. I mean, you know this. He taught Tyson. He helped Tyson believe that he himself was a god. That's the coach's role. That's what he did. He spoke into Tyson. He didn't just teach him how to box. That's the easy part, honestly. It's all the other stuff. And we don't have that yet in powerlifting, I don't think, because we're just not there yet. I think a lot of the people who compete in powerlifting maybe weren't exposed to a lot of sports growing up, or the coaching, they're not exposed to coaching in other sports. Not all of them, some of them. So I just don't see it as much. But then again, maybe I'm naive and I'm just ignorant to it. But yeah, man, I mean, and that speaks volumes. That goes a really, really long way. Having a coach who understands the value and all that. So what I'm getting at here is, before I, go on this massive rant, absolutely sports can build character, but you have to let it. You have to have good coaches. When I was younger, if I had coaches that were really good, that were able to speak into me and really help me grow as an individual, yeah, absolutely things could have turned out different. No different than in powerlifting. So yeah, I absolutely do think that sports, man, like, there's something too that has to be said about the physical work, physical labor, forcing your body to grow, pushing your body to grow. When I'm squatting 740 pounds, I'm not thinking about what I had for breakfast. I'm not thinking about what I had for dinner. I'm locked the fuck in because I feel the weight of 740 pounds on my fucking back, and so there's a certain type of forced clarity, mental focus that you have to have when you compete and when you push yourself physically, that you can't really achieve mentally. And so I think it's a very healthy outlet, but I also think it can teach you a lot. Discipline, the importance of routine, healthier lifestyle, simply making you stronger physically. I mean, that's great in and of itself. Introducing you to other personalities, how to manage those personalities, trust. I mean, so many things. So absolutely, yeah, sports can build character.
So there's a few things here. I think you're 100% right. There are coaches that are more analytical than they are that are going to get into the mental side to actually make you believe and buy in. And when people are going to go all out in training, because you have to, by the time the day to compete comes along, you probably have won and lost based on how much training you've actually done and how hard you went into training. And a lot of times you are going to go all in on your training if someone told you how great you could be. But if you think you're a middle of the packer, you're not going all out on training. You're going to live other aspects of life. But if someone can full on convince you, Gavin, if you give me 100% for 8 weeks, I guarantee you could be a world champion. And you full on believe this, those 8 weeks are going to be quality. But if you don't, and I can't fully convince you, you give me 8 weeks, but it ain't going to be the same type of 8 weeks. So for sure, the mental aspect, and I don't think a lot of coaches do 100% get in on that. And to the Customato thing, I don't know if I told you this. I might have already, but what the hell? I'll say it again. Customato, when Mike Tyson was 13 years old, 13 years old, he would go to sleep. They all, like, Customato was not only his coach, he was also he adopted. So he's his father as well, father figure. And Tyson was asleep, and Customato was reading books on hypnosis. And he knew that while sleeping, if you hear a song and you're dreaming, the song enters your dream because your ears don't turn off. It's like your phone. People say, like, oh, my phone, your phone can hear you whether it's on or off. but your ears are still attached to your head. All the mechanisms of your ear are still on. So when you're sleeping, you're still listening. You're just sleeping. And anything you hear goes into the subconscious and might enter your dreams. Customato at night would enter into Mike Tyson's room when he was sleeping, 12, 13, 14, 15 years old. And Customato would tell him over and over, you are Achilles. You are Charlemagne the God. You are Alexander the Great. You are a god. These are men. You are one of the greatest of all time. You are cut from the cloth of Jack Dempsey. This is who you are. This is destiny for you. Don't be afraid. You are not afraid. You are the safest when you're in. He would say it over and over to Mike. And Mike Tyson didn't even know any of this was happening until one night at like 16 years old. He was trying to sleep, but he couldn't. And he heard Cuss come in the room. And he was, when you're too tired to turn around, and like, oh, he's probably grabbing some shit or whatever. Maybe he forgot something in here. And Cuss sat beside his bed and started saying it. And Mike was like, what the fuck? And he heard Cuss going through, you are a god. You are Jack Dempsey. You are Achilles. And he went through the whole routine. And that, like, Mike was like, holy fuck, man. What is this guy doing? And he later on went through, and Cuss had a whole bunch of books on hypnosis, whatever. And Mike, who at 15 years old was knocking out 25-year-old men with beards, and he was 15 years old, would have full-on panic attacks when he's in a locker room. Because he's like, I have to go out there and I have to fight a guy who's an adult, and I'm a child. And he said when he would literally be crying and want to throw up in the locker room. And as he started walking down to the ring, he got more and more confident. The closer he got to the ring, more and more, from the point of full-blown panic attack, throwing up, to by the time he ducked his head under the ropes, I'm a god. And he looks at the guy across the ring and he's like, you are in big trouble. I'm as safe comes. Let me show you. I'm going to pull. Hold on one sec here. I want to play this one clip of the Mike Tyson after he wins the fight, and he says, this is it, one sec here. Okay, I'm gonna share the screen, Playboy.
Hey, thank you, Steve. Mike, was that your shortest fight ever?
I bear witness there's only one God, and Muhammad's blessings and peace be upon him as his prophet. I dedicate this fight to my brother, Darabam, who died. I'll be there to see you. I love you with all my heart. All praise be to my children.
It's about to come out.
Oh, God, man, what?
Is this your shortest fight ever? In any time, amateur, professional, ever?
Assalamu alaikum, Maida. I don't know, man. Yeah, Lennox Lewis. Lennox, I'm coming for you.
Mike, is it frustrating to train like you did and then have this in 7 or 8 seconds?
For this fight, I only trained probably 2 weeks or 3 weeks for this fight. I had to bury my best friend, and I dedicated this fight. I wasn't going to fight. I dedicated this fight to him. I was going to rip his heart out. I'm the best ever. I'm the most brutal and vicious and most ruthless champion there's ever been. There's no one can stop me. Lennox is a conqueror. No, I'm Alexander. He's no Alexander. I'm the best ever. There's never been anybody as ruthless. I'm Sonny Liston. I'm Jack Dempsey. There's no one like me. I'm from their cloth. There's no one that can match me. My style is impetuous. My defense is impregnable. And I'm just ferocious. I want your heart. I want to eat his children. Praise be to Allah.
Are you saying?
Okay, so at the end, it started off a little bit like, all right, whatever, what do you want to ask me? And he's all pumped up. But once he got into that verbiage, I'm Sonny, listen, I'm Jack Dempsey. I'm from their cloth. I'm a conqueror. I'm Alexander the Great. You're not Alexander the Great. There's only one. That was that, man. You can get super duper deep into it. And another piece in terms of people like sports building you in terms of your character and your propensity for dealing with giving up. George Foreman fought Muhammad Ali and got taken into deep waters for the first time against Muhammad. And before Muhammad Ali, everybody he destroyed. Smoking Joe Frazier for the title destroyed Frazier in 2 rounds. Nobody destroyed Frazier. Frazier beat Muhammad Ali at this point. Nobody destroyed him in 2 rounds. Ken Norton went 24 rounds with Muhammad Ali, 2 fights. Destroyed Norton in 2 rounds. Nobody could stand up to George Foreman. He thought he was the guy. That Muhammad Ali knew, I take you into deep waters, I will drown you. You're not ready. And he took him into deep waters. And the one thing that makes cowards of everybody, Gavin, fatigue. Fatigue makes you want to quit. And George Foreman felt that fatigue. And when he was pressed and pressed hard, Muhammad knew, you'll go now. And then he spun off and started lighting him up with shots and took George Foreman out. And Foreman knew in his heart of hearts, he could have got up that one time. But it was easier for just in that moment to stay down. It was easier. And for 20 years, if he could have relived that moment and took that moment away, he would have. He would have got back up. For 20 fucking years, it haunted him because he knows in his heart, to your point, he gave up. And you say, I will never give up because I know as long as I don't give up, it's just me intrinsically. I have to prove to myself. 45 years old, George Foreman fights for the title again 20 years later. 20 years, that was in his heart. 45 years old, he fights Michael Moore, who's 25, undefeated, 35-0. And George Foreman is walking down to the ring and everyone thinks it's a joke. He doesn't deserve to be in there. He got invited to this championship because he's a star, and he was a star at the time. And then one of the broadcasters who's commentating watched George Foreman make his way down to the ring and said, something about those shorts. Foreman's walking down into the ring and he gets into the ring and they're boxing. And they're shuffling around rounds and it's going deep into the fight. One guy's 25, the other guy's 45. And by the 10th round, this is where Foreman should be gassing out and he's 45 and should be ready to go. And then the commentator realized, oh my God, those skid on the side of his shorts is from when Muhammad Ali knocked him out. He hit the canvas and slid. Those are the same shorts as he wore against Muhammad Ali. This is a guy who's fighting against himself, trying to right this wrong so he can live the rest of his life, knowing I got it in my heart. And in the 10th round, George Foreman knocked out Michael Moore and won the title at 45 and finally put to bed the Muhammad Ali when he quit against Muhammad. Because if he beat Ali, he'd be the greatest. He lost, Ali's the greatest. That's what sports can do.
Yep.
You can build off of it. You could push yourself to all types of crazy lengths.
Well, you got me fired up, man. I'm ready to go train again today, right now.
Dude, it's crazy. It's crazy when you think about it. Like what a loss can do to you. But not only that, for 20 fucking years. Like you think like only he wore the short. George can't say it didn't bother me. George, you wore those shorts into the ring at 45. How long have those been in your closet, bro?
Yeah.
How long has that been hanging around?
It requires an extreme ability to just let go. You have to be willing to let go of everything else around you. The pressure. The pressure is a self-constructed concept. You know, it's you make it up in your mind. You know, I love one of my favorite fighters is George St. Pierre, and he talks about this a lot. The 2 times that he hates during the year are the 2 times he has to fight. And one of the things he does to kind of calm himself is he'll go and drive around and he'll hold the door for an old lady walking out with groceries and he'll think to himself, that old lady doesn't even know who the fuck I am, let alone the fact that I'm fighting for a world championship today. So it puts it into perspective, right? And that's, taking it back to what you were talking about with Muhammad Ali and drowning George Foreman, literally drowning him in fatigue. These are dark places that you can go voluntarily in your training. That's why you train. Muhammad Ali was also the same person who said, I don't start counting when I begin. I start counting when it starts to hurt. That's when I start counting my reps. That's what he said. And we know it's true because that's what he did. His record proves it. And that's the same mindset that we try and take into our training, mentally, physically, and spiritually. You have to. And that's the beauty of it. You can take yourself there. You don't have to guess at whether or not you're going to be a quitter when it counts. You can push yourself to that limit in training. Push yourself during preparation. That's what Conor McGregor meant when he said preparation expels all doubt. I didn't really get that until this year, because for me, the more I prepared, the more fear I had, because I knew how much I gave to get to where I was. That's what South Africa Worlds was for me. I had given so much to be there. I had done everything perfectly. My cardio, my nutrition, my training, everything. Did everything I could, and it broke me to know that I still lost. Not only did I lose, I placed fourth. Completely meaningless. I learned a lot from that. And one of the things I learned is it's not about all of this. You'll always have to give everything. It's about the dark places you're willing to go and the demons you're willing to face, how much you're willing to drown in preparation. So that game day is just a day to collect the trophy. You've been there. You've literally been there before. You've faced harder fighters than this. Manny Pacquiao, I forget how many rounds he said he was doing in preparation for his Mayweather fight, but it was something stupid, like 20 or 24, something like that, 24 rounds on top of all the normal drills and training, right? I mean, but that's what it takes. It takes going to that level. And that's something that, of course, it can be hard to replicate in powerlifting, but you can find it. You can find the silver lining. And I believe that if you're willing to do that, you're willing to practice that, then you know that game day, it's going to be there. And that's where that confidence will come from. Your confidence isn't that you can defeat the other guy. The confidence is that you can defeat yourself. Yeah, when you're tired. Yeah, when you only have an hour to recomp and you're dizzy and you're warming up and you can barely fucking breathe because your belt's too tight. It's on the last notch and you're all fucking bloated up. You don't know if you can do it. A lot's on the line. You've been invited here. It's not even like you earned your spot, really, legitimately, right? Of course, I can make an argument that I belong there. Absolutely. But I didn't earn that spot the way everybody else did. The only male wild card was given to me because there was only one. Me? And here I am already fucking this up? I've never had to weigh in that close to the meet, let alone do that and be the strongest I've ever been. Yeah, it is tiring. I was stressed out that whole week. It genuinely felt like it was me versus everyone. It was me versus the world. That's what it felt like. The enemy was seeping in, man. But I've come to know myself well enough. I've come to know myself that I need my father there. I need my mother there. I need Ray there. They speak it to me. You know, my dad has always been a rock when it comes to my potential, proving to me that I can be great. You know, it's his father who has every time I see him, he asks me to recite this quote. Good things may come to those who wait, but only the things left by those who hustle. That's what he has told me. So I believe in that. That is ingrained in my fucking DNA. And so when it comes to these moments, you don't give yourself the choice because you've already made it. I'm all in. I've committed. I have nothing to lose. George Foreman came back at 45 with nothing to fucking lose. And that's why he won. Conor McGregor's downfall is because he has everything to lose. And that's the reality. That's the reality. And so we see it. And it's hard. It's tough. It's not easy. But if it were easy, everyone would do it. And we're not everyone. We're trying to be one of one. There's a reason why there's a 99% and there's a 1%. It's supposed to be fucking hard. It's supposed to feel impossible. It's supposed to be daunting. But that's what makes it special. That's what makes it worth it. The meaning is in the suffering. Because it's through that you can grow.
The fact that, first off, I love there's meaning in the suffering. And I also love when you said, you or did you not drown in training? Because Ali's gonna drown you. If you didn't drown in training, you don't want it to happen for the first time in the bright lights. And how many times did Ali drowned in training when he went in there? How many times did he drown? So when he looked at Foreman,
yeah, no, go ahead. Go ahead. I have a story
I
for
was
you
just
that I
about to
think.
say when they were staring each other down, I don't know if you've seen the clips, but Ali was talking. Like Ali had no business winning this fight. Everybody said he was going to lose. And when they're staring each other down, Ali was talking so much shit to Foreman, who destroyed these guys Ali went to war with. Some of these guys beat Ali, and Ali had to beat him in rematches. And Ali was talking so much shit. And that confidence is because he's probably, how many times did he drown? And he's telling himself, you're not going to take, you think you're going to take me to deep waters? I've been swimming out there, young man. I bet you haven't, though.
Yeah. That confidence came from fear, was originally planted. The seed, the original planted seed was fear. Ali knew who he was up against. And so his choice was to face that head on. One of my my boxing coaches was actually coached by Customato, and he had trained with Tyson. He's in the Hall of Fame. And he had told me, I had asked him, I was like, so I want to know what you think the difference between Mike Tyson and everyone else is. Like, what actually made him different? And he's like, you want the truth? And I was like, yeah, I want the truth. And he said, Mike Tyson worked harder than anybody else I've ever seen, including myself. That man would hit a heavy bag at the end of a day, like as if he just had fucking gotten there in the morning, fresh. That man was a savage in training, said he could be a god in the ring. He just worked harder than everyone. That's what he told me. And now, to me, that's probably the greatest source I'm ever going to get. And so, if nothing else, you can rely on the work. You can rely on the system. But you have to put in that work. You have to be willing to fine-tune that system. There's no way of getting around that. And I think all the athletes at the top level have their own way of doing that. And I look, I got to be honest. Yeah, sometimes things kind of come up to the circumstance and the chance, the juries and the referees and this and that. But you control what you can control. And that's you. That's your behaviors, your thoughts. If you do that, guaranteed, if nothing else, you can walk away feeling satisfied, proud of yourself, but more importantly, satisfied knowing that, yeah, I gave everything I had. I gave everything I had. That's why I've always said it's not about the points. It's not about the chips. It's not about any of that stuff for me. It's not about the money or any of that. It's about giving everything I have. Because, dude, I won Junior Worlds in Sweden. I won by a fucking landslide, like 50 kilos. And that's no disrespect to my competitors. They're all very strong athletes. I don't mean that in a bad way, but it's just the truth. I won by a lot. That's not satisfying to me. I'm not happy about that. In fact, that's one of my most embarrassing moments was winning Junior Worlds during the pandemic. And the reason why is because it wasn't my best performance. I think I totaled like 843, 845 or something like that. But I had only gotten like one squat. My deadlift, I had more in the tank on. Could have even went for the junior world record had I really paid attention. I botched some things. There was more that I could have given. And so that's why I felt so depressed after that meet. Fuck the gold, fuck the medal. Who cares, dude? Nobody gives a shit. This stuff is collecting dust right now. It doesn't matter. The medals are really just a reflection of the outcome. But it's not about the outcome. It's who you have to become in pursuit of the outcome. And I wasn't happy with who I had become in pursuit of that outcome. I felt like I hadn't become enough. And, so you make those adjustments. And so now I try my best to become something even stronger and better in pursuit of the outcome every single prep, every single competition.
What's amazing about the George Foreman story is just how much that haunted him for so long and what that haunting did to drive him. You think about on his way to his comeback, he had by the time he won the title, he had like 30 comeback fights. Like he just in his 40s fighting through the ranks to finally get that title shot. 20 years in the making. How badly did that haunt him? What if he never did? It literally drove him out of retirement, 10 years out of retirement, to throw the gloves on and be like, I can't. I'm sorry, I can't. I have to fight. Like, how crazy is that?
Well, you want to know what's you know how many people, and this is actually really important for the people who are listening, which, by the way, I know I can speak for both of us when I say this. We're both very grateful for anybody who's taken the time to listen. This is a key piece to this, right? This is what you really should take away from that George Foreman story. I guarantee you everyone who knew George Foreman was telling him, dude, you're crazy. Don't do it. You're 45. Don't do it. It's too late. Don't do it. Come on, man. You had legacy. Hang it up. Come on, dude. It's Ali. Of course you were gonna lose to Ali. It's great. Nobody thinks you're left, and it was Ali. Are you fucking crazy? No. See, to me, those people, that 99%, they're the crazy ones.
And you know what else? They probably told him, "You're not Ali," and he fucking was up there like Ali. He because he won the title at 45, he is mentioned with Ali. You're 100% right, dude. And those guys and girls telling him, "Don't do it, you're crazy," probably let go of so much in their life. And they're saying, "No, let go like I did. Let go like we did." That's the same choice. Let go. Just let go.
Yeah. Yeah, I know a lot of people like that in my own life. And I try and distance myself as much as I can from those people because I don't need that. I don't want that. Period. If I need to be delusional, fine. Bro, none of us are making out of this game of life alive. So I might as well give everything I have. You might as fucking well. And I guarantee you when I'm 80 years old or however long I get to live, I'm not going to look back and say, man, thank God I didn't do nationals after Sheffield. That would have been tough. Fuck, what? Are you kidding?
It's true.
I'd be fucking kicking myself saying, man, imagine what you could have done. Imagine what you could have. What if, yeah, okay, so maybe you don't do as well. Or maybe you do so fucking well, the whole world is shocked. You even shock yourself at how well you were able to do. And then because of that, you're able to go on and compete at the world championship and potentially win worlds. And then because of that, that led to another opportunity. And outside of all the outcomes, it's who are you becoming? Who is the type of person that would make the choice? And I'm not saying this to hype myself up. I'm just being real. Who's the type of person that would make the choice to do a back-to-back meet and go to nationals and actually do it because they actually have to do better than what they just did at Sheffield, which was to this day their best performance on paper. I have to do my best performance on paper, beat that in 4 weeks' time, right? Who's the type of person that would choose to do that? That's the type of person I want to be.
Yeah. That's when you picture yourself, who is that person? Now be him. Be her. Stop.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan talks about how often people tell themselves, "That's not me, that's Gavin. That's not me, that's stop saying that." You could be the person you want. Tomorrow you could wake up, man, fuck it. You know who I am? And you could change everything if you wanted to. So much of it is just the decisions or what you tell yourself you are and you aren't. What's that quote? Whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. You're going to talk yourself out of so much. So many people are going to say you can't. Don't be one of them. Not to you. Let other people say you can't, but you shouldn't tell yourself that. Yeah, for sure. Dog, whenever we have these fucking talks, I gotta like run through a goddamn wall by the end of it, by the way. we gas each other up like crazy. Holy
I know.
smokes,
I
man.
feel bad. I hope people feel like they can. I hope people feel like they can still gain some value from this stuff. I know we tend to talk a lot about mindset and all that, but hopefully people still feel like they get something.
Dude, okay. So one more clip I want to play you. It's Mike Tyson. Surprise, surprise. We're all over this right now. But Mike Tyson talks about, we heard the clip earlier about Mike Tyson, how essentially he was raised to be a megalomaniac who's incredibly convinced he's a god and he's all these crazy things. Then Customato dies when Mike Tyson's only 18 years old and can't deprogram him. So he's running loose, becomes the world champion at 20, and literally thinks he's a god, and there's not a man alive who could stand up to him. And his father, who was like the only guy he would listen to, is dead. So Mike Tyson, the Mike Tyson story gets a little crazy after that. We all know how crazy Mike Tyson was in his prime, but he was also maybe one of the most fearless fighters of all time. So take a look at Mike Tyson when he's talking to Sugar Ray Leonard and talking about the old Mike Tyson versus the new Mike Tyson. And this is a very interesting introspective that Mike Tyson gives.
Me and Alexander and Napoleon, I know them all. I read them all. I studied them all. I know the art of fight. I know the art of war. That's all I ever studied. That's why I'm so feared. That's why they feared me when I was in the ring. Because that's all I was an annihilator. That's all I was born for. And now those days are gone. It's empty. I'm nothing. I'm working on being the art of humbleness. Can you believe in me? That's the reason why I'm crying, because I'm not that person no more. And I miss him. Because sometimes I feel like a bitch. Because I don't want that person to come out, because if he comes out, hell is coming with him. And it's not funny at all. It must sound cool, like I'm a tough guy. It's just that I hate that guy. I'm scared of him.
Dude, holy fuck. Did you, when he goes, I'm afraid of that guy coming back. I'm afraid of him. Like, if he comes back, hell is coming with him. It's crazy, man. Who is this to feel like there's a person inside of you and you are every day fighting like to be humble, the art of being humble, be humble. Don't let him out. Because if he comes out, you know who he is. And did you notice when he was talking about, I am Alexander, that's the same way he was talking after the fight. It's programmed, dude. It's in him. In the rest of his life, Customato made him who he was, an amazing fighter, but also can't turn it off. And he's a 55-year-old man now who can't rest. He's fighting it to rest.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to speak for him, obviously, but I have listened, of course, to a lot of his stuff, and he does sound like he's very intense with his faith. And I think he, realized that he has another father too, and that's God, right? So that's kind of led to this spiritual growth, and as he said, kind of like this new sense of humility that he's trying to encapsulate. And I think it's tough, man. It's tough because to be what he was, and then also turn that switch off and have healthy relationships and have a healthier lifestyle outside, that's very difficult to do, especially when you're in the sport of fighting. It's you can die in that ring. It's a blood sport. It's a very, very different, that's a survival sport, and most people who fight don't do it because they want to, they do it because they have to. And so it's a different thing. And like I said, man, not to sound corny and cliche or whatever, but I do believe there's value in taking that same mindset and applying it to powerlifting. Do you have to go to that extreme? Maybe not, but for you, for yourself, for your own voice, I think you need to go to that extreme, because it needs to mean that much to you. And I think that's the only way that you'll be willing to give everything when you need to, but yeah, it's insane. I mean, really, his life is like, it is like the gladiator, he like lost everything, grew up in horrible conditions, was bullied horrendously, really went through the ringer, like literally, and so he is the prime epitome of what happens when you take something like that and mold it into a monster, and yeah, and I think it's taken a life of mistakes for him to kind of learn from that and grow from that. And obviously now we have the result of that, which is really beautiful to see. We get to see the full spectrum, the full swing, everything come full circle. But yeah, and actually I think like one thing that was actually really impactful for me when I had seen, maybe, I don't know if he would still agree with what he had said at that time, but there was like an interview, somebody was going through his house and they like showed him all of his belts and all of his titles on the table. They said, so Mike, like, what does this mean to you? And he picked it up and threw it aside. It's trash. It's nothing. I don't care about any of that anymore. Like, this means nothing to me. And that resonated with me too, because I think that in and of itself is a sign of not just growth, but also I think that's like real power and real control, titles and all that stuff. It doesn't mean anything to you. It's not about that. Again, it's kind of like who you had to become in pursuit of that.
Yeah. The only thing is like, it brings the lifestyle, like he makes money off of it. He being the champ, if he never won those titles, it's why we're talking about him. It's like a accomplishment. It is an accomplishment. The trophies. You become a world champion, the gold medal won't mean anything, but for the rest of your life, you don't have to, you could close the door on that, or you can eat food off that, sell apps, sell coaching services off of that. It does open doors.
Yeah, it's definitely a testament. It's a testament to your ability, for sure. Absolutely. If nothing else, it's a testament to your commitment. You can't become a world champion without commitment. You at least have to qualify, for it and then show up and win. So that takes some degree of discipline and commitment right there. So yeah, absolutely. But again, man, it all goes way beyond that. There's so many phenomenal people, successful people who don't necessarily have titles, but they they're obviously very passionate in what they pursue, and they've chosen a path where they pursue excellence. And that's what it is. It's when you pursue mastery of a craft, you pursue excellence. And anybody who pursues excellence is somebody I'm going to listen to. Because I know what that takes. I know what that entails. And there's a certain degree of appreciation, but there's also a certain there's a very large amount of humility you have to have, because you're humbled so fucking often. I mean, really, I look at my career so far as a powerlifter, and I'm like, dude, man, every single time I failed. I take L after L after L. I fall and fall and fall, but it's all just, to me, it humbles me. It reminds me, like, man, I ain't shit, dude. I'm not shit. It's I'm just a kid who lifts, man. I'm just a kid who lifts weights, and my job is to lead by example. I truly believe every single person has the potential to be great. I believe that seed is planted in them, but it needs to be watered. Sometimes it even needs, you need to throw dirt on it. Like that's the reality. And sometimes it needs some sunshine too, but I was raised by my parents. They said that my father always told me he would never ask me to do something that he either had not done himself or would not be willing to do himself, and so I take that to heart. I want to lead by example, as I know he would, and so my job is to take that torch and carry it further. I can't tell you that you can be great and that you can be a world champion if I haven't at least attempted to do it myself. And I can't tell you to burn your ships and go all in if I'm not willing to do that myself. Who am I? I wouldn't listen to me if I didn't do that. So that's what this is about. But you're absolutely right. You kind of the whole reason why we look at these athletes and people who are successful in other industries, even for better, for worse, is because they were successful, because they did do it. And that's part of it.
Yeah, it's like a measure of the success. The belt, it just means. Let me ask you some of this. Okay. So you say everybody can be great. But what if let me throw this idea at you. Let me know what you think. Because I think not everybody has greatness in. Think about how many billions of people live. Not everybody's going to be Ali, Mike Tyson. Not everybody's destined for greatness. However, some of them are. And some of them will never achieve that greatness. This is what the beautiful thing is. Let's say in a sea of people, you have 10 people, and one of them can be great. One of them. There's 10 people. Now, everybody knows one of us is going to be great, and 9 of us are not. So the trick is, it doesn't mean you're not going to be happy, by the way. It doesn't mean you're not going to enjoy life, have kids, be loved, know what love feels like, and all that. And that's great. But I mean, achieve greatness in some endeavor. So all 10 of you, no, fuck it. You know what? Let's say 1,000. So there's 1,000 people. You're going to live great lives in a lot of respects. But one of you will achieve greatness. Just one. But I'm not going to let you know which one of you is going to achieve greatness. I'm just going to let you know there are special people out there who can achieve greatness. Now, in that 1,000, if you don't know it's you, will you break your back in pursuit of trying for that greatness? If you don't know it's you and it's 1 in 1,000, maybe you don't. So in that group of 1,000, maybe nobody steps up because you might dedicate yourself and never achieve it. So in that 1,000, no one achieves greatness. Now blow it up to 7 billion. And maybe it becomes, that's how you get the Arnold Schwarzeneggers, Michael Jordans, etc., Barack Obamas, or whatever the hell. Because some people know I might not be great and I might be great, but I'm only going to find out if I roll the dice. And the beauty of it is you might not be great, but you're going to fucking pursue it. And even if you never become great, you're going to get way further than you ever would have if you didn't. Like if you make it to the NBA, you're not Michael Jordan, but you played 10 seasons in the NBA off heart alone, off just pursuing. You're like, yeah, I'm not Michael Jordan, but I believed and it carried me there. There's something beautiful about that. There's something beautiful about there's something beautiful about being like, you're amongst the sea of, I don't know if you have greatness in you. Are you still willing to try this? And if you say yes, that to me is beautiful. To be like, I'm willing to find out.
Yeah.
There's something about, I don't know. What do you think? Do you think about that?
I mean, I don't necessarily agree with the idea that only a select few were given the potential to be great. Um, I believe that a human's greatest ability is its ability to adapt. Like that is our superpower, right? Almost like Wolverine. Like, we can heal if we get cut, we can adapt. Our even sometimes this kind of works against us, but our subconscious, we go through certain traumas and we develop coping mechanisms, defense mechanisms that help us survive those
How
traumatic
wild is
times.
that?
Yeah, but that's because that's our innate ability. And so if you take that same theory, our greatest superpower is our ability to adapt. That means our greatest superpower is our ability to grow. It's a choice, but we do have the ability to grow, to get better, to learn, right? That means that we have the seed to be great because all it takes to be great is to continue to grow and grow and grow. And in fact, the only limiting factor to our potential is time, because that unfortunately we don't have. We don't have unlimited time, and we also really don't know when our time will come. So that's the only thing that we don't get. So truthfully, I think that any of us could be great. I think all of us have the potential to be great. But you're absolutely right. You have to choose to be. You have to make that choice. And it's not an overnight process. And anything that you tell yourself, and I hear this all the time, man. Yeah, no, not me. Yeah, my shoulder. Oh, this, no, I can't do that. Oh, yeah, he's just got the genetics, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Yeah, I've heard it before. You know who else heard it before? George Foreman when he was going to fight for a world championship at 45. Those people chose not to be great. That's not on me, brother. I know you have it in you, but you chose not to water that seed. You chose not to work on that. And by the way, greatness has to be defined. I'm not going to sit here and open up a dictionary, but I know for sure it's not what anybody else would give you some sort of societal construct. Same thing with success. I mean, that's like your typical mentorship. You go to these seminars and what do they say? Oh, you got to define success. What is it? Is success money? Is success happiness? What is truly success? The definition is almost subjective to some degree, right? I believe it's the pursuit. I believe it's who you have to become in pursuit of an outcome. And that's truly what greatness is. I also believe that, and I'll give you this example to kind of explain what I mean. There's a lot of winners in powerlifting and in sports, but there's not a lot of champions in powerlifting and in sports. Just because you win doesn't mean you're a champion. I think people forget, if you're the type of person who's going to cheer for someone's downfall, who's going to count someone out, who's going to say, oh, they'll never do this. If that's how you talk, you're not a champion. I don't care how many titles you've won. A champion does not judge a man based on how many times he falls. A champion judges a man based on how many times he gets the fuck back up. That's a champion. And that's something that's cultivated, created. You're not born with that. That's cultivated and created. You know how? By falling down yourself and then getting back up. That's how that's created. So I believe greatness isn't something that, you just have or you don't have. I think it's created, it's built, it's designed by you, but it's a choice you have to make. You have the potential to be great. That's the difference. You have the potential. It's up to you whether or not you're going to fulfill that potential. And again, time is the limiting factor. Is it true that some people have better genetics and some people have better circumstances? Also, sure. Yeah, absolutely. But I believe every single one of us has something that we're innately passionate about, we care about. Could be art. I mean, I love to lift. I love to train. Absolutely. But I love reading. I love writing. I love music. There's other things I'm pursuing now that have nothing to do with lifting. Big projects, big endeavors, things that if I can accomplish this, it'll dwarf a world championship in powerlifting. These are things that I'm actively pursuing. I have a younger brother. He wants nothing to do with training, but he loves art. Nobody's forcing him to practice every single day. He does it himself. That's like me when I was in middle school and high school, just going to the gym for 4 hours straight. Half the time I didn't even know what the fuck I was doing, but I just knew I liked it. And so I chose to pursue greatness in that. That's what I chose. And that is the art of cultivating greatness. Finding something that you're passionate about and then giving your everything to it. Maybe you don't want to be the best objectively among players. You just want to be your best. You're trying to become the absolute best version of you. That's greatness. And that we all have the potential for.
Here's something I like that you said. But it's the only thing I like you said. No. Here's something that I like that you said though. That is a good push back on what I say. That makes me rethink, which I like. Because I'm not married to my ideas. I like when someone makes me
Only married to the
question.
game.
Just married to that gameplay, boy. All right, married to that game, and I know because that bitch drives me crazy. That's Lil Wayne. But I like when someone makes me question some of these ideas. And here's what you said that made me question it. You were talking about as long as you're growing, there's opportunity, and you might run out of time. But if it's infinite time, for instance, if I took almost anybody and made you do something 1,000 times a day, every single day for 1,000 years, are you fucking telling me you're not going to be shooting three throws? Yes, yes, yes. But you don't have 1,000 years. And you don't have that time. But you can, is the point. And so it's there. But you're going to run out of time, whatever. Okay, got you. Okay, park that for a second. Park that for a second. As long as I convince you of that. Now, how many times do you hear about, for instance, a CEO or somebody who did something crazy and they're in the right place at the right time? Like, for instance, Vin Diesel, who is not an amazing actor, met Steven Spielberg as a bouncer, had a charisma about him. Steven Spielberg's like, I like the way he handles himself. Put him in the movie Saving Private Ryan. Literally wrote a character, a bit character that didn't have a lot of range, but just wanted him in it, and got him like a coach or whatever. Vin Diesel basically plays Vin Diesel in all his movies, and it is what it is. But the guy is a kabillionaire, and it's all about time, placement, chance, is what I'm saying. And how many people could have either been Vin Diesel or done the equivalent of Vin Diesel in business, where you're in the right room at the right point, and someone's like, you know what? I like you. You're coming with me. And you were the guy beside Bill Gates. You're the guy beside Elon. And he could be beside almost anybody, but he was rocketing to the top. You just won't have those moments. But if you lived forever, eventually that would be a moment. You just ran out of time. So if I can believe that if I lived infinitely, eventually I'll have a conversation with Steven Spielberg. I'll be in the elevator with Elon Musk. If I lived infinitely, eventually that moment will happen. Depending on that. That means if you have a finite amount of time, and you know now all it is timing, do everything you can to put yourself in that room, and do everything you can to put yourself in that elevator, and do everything you can, because yes, it can happen to you. Then do dog. It took a second to wrap my head around it, but now I get.
Yeah. There's a quote. I forget who said it, but it goes, luck is simply what happens when preparation meets opportunity. And I do believe a lot of that. I think, take that example, Vin Diesel. So he could have met Steven Spielberg and been, you know what, man, I'm not an actor. What the fuck are you talking about, dude? I don't have this. I'm good. You know how much work this dude's got to put in to build what he's built, So he could have chosen to say, nah, I'm good. But instead he chose to go all in on that. It could have stopped at Saving Private Ryan. Absolutely. You're right. He's not a great actor. He's not a Leonardo DiCaprio. He's not a Tom Hardy. And yet here he is. So that takes work. That takes pursuit. That takes becoming something in pursuit of an outcome, right? And that's what it is. And bro, listen, same token, you know how many actors there are, singers there are that are phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal, that have yet to get their break, that have yet to meet the Spielberg. That is what life is. Life isn't fair. Unfortunately, this is just how things are. However, as I was saying before about my competitors and all the situations, the circumstances don't make the man. The circumstances only reveal them to themselves, right? So what are you going to do about it? I get it. I hear you. They are very valid excuses. Bro, I have so many reasons for so many things. We all do. But it doesn't change the reality. No matter how valid those reasons and excuses are, it doesn't change the reality. So what am I going to do about it? What can I control? What can I do to further myself, to get better, to get in those rooms, to get in those meetings? Success attracts success. I truly believe that if you slowly become the absolute best at what you do, people are going to want to work with you because you're the best at what you do. I got a chance to meet Arnold actually this past weekend at the Arnold. Pete Spence from, yeah. He gave me the opportunity to meet with Arnold. I got to shake his hand, take a picture, and I asked him a question. One of the questions I asked him, which I'm kind of regretting, I kind of wish I asked. I'm not gonna lie.
Talking about, wait a second.
Yeah, dude. So I got to shake his hand and I asked him a question. And the question that I feel like I should have asked him, I'll say in a second, but the question that I did ask him kind of pertains to like this next kind of endeavor, one of the next endeavors that I'm working on, and that's in the acting space, right? And so I asked him, I was like, so I'm just curious, what would you say, how would you recommend somebody breaks into the industry? Because it's difficult, it's a difficult thing to break into. He said two things: hard work and vision and all that, the typical stuff, and then talent. He said talent's really important, and he told me a story. Now this might be a little brass, but this is what he said. There
Arnold
was
Schwarzenegger told you a story. How am I finding this out now?
So so he said, and I'm gonna mess up the name. I believe the actress he was talking about was Sally Parker or something like that. I'm messing up the name. I don't know. I was too focused on the fact that I was talking to Arnold Schwarzenegger. So
I can't think right now myself, and I'm not. I'm just hearing this through.
So I'm talking to him, and he tells me the story. And in short, there's this movie, right? And at that time, all the female leads, the way that they got the part was by sleeping with the director, right? Well, this girl Sally said, "Fuck that." This is what he said, not me, right? He said, this is literally what he said, bro. I couldn't believe it. He's like, she wasn't that pretty, no boobs, no butt, nothing like that. She walks in there.
Now I believe you. This is exactly how
this is what he said. He said it a little bit worse than I just said it, but he said it. So he says it. He said, but she took those other parts and she took those scripts and she did it better than anybody else ever could. And she got the part. And that's the difference. He said, talent. He said, in talent, you can work on your talent. He said, and this is what he told me. He said, my sons asked me, Dad, I want to get into movies. These are Arnold Schwarzenegger's sons that are asking him about how to break into the fucking industry. You telling me that your dad can't get to, he's got the network, he's got everything. And even you need help. This is what he said. He said, you need talent. You need to work. You need to work really fucking hard. The other thing he said is you need to advertise yourself. You need to let the world know that you exist, that you're there, So work hard, advertise yourself, and you need talent. And yeah, I mean, and that's like, I'm taking that with me, I'm taking that with me. The question I wish I would have asked him is probably more similar to like how he took bodybuilding to the level that he took. I mean, he built bodybuilding. He made it what it is. And that's something that I would have, liked to know from him. If there was something that he felt he did specifically that really helped transition bodybuilding from, kind of what raw powerlifting is right now to what bodybuilding is, now. I wish I had asked him that, but either way, I'm still satisfied with the question I asked and the answer I got, but that's what he said. So yeah, man, I think going back to what we were talking about, I think circumstances are what they are. You find a way. And if you are the best at what you do, at some point, someone's going to want to work with you, because guess what? People want to be successful. I don't just go around looking for anybody to give me my programming for powerlifting. I don't go around looking for anybody to just handle me. I look for the fucking best. I look for what fits me. What do I need? Who do I need to surround myself to make this work, to bring my vision to fruition? That's who I'm going to work with. That's what it is. If you don't put in the work and you're not good at what you do, why would I work with you? And vice versa. If I'm not good at what I do, why would you work with me? I'm not talking about in a coaching context. I'm talking about any context. If I'm not a good son, boyfriend, or father, or whatever, why would you want to be in a relationship with me? Why would you want a son like me? Why? It's my job to be the best I can be. And I believe that if you are the best you can be and you are honestly, with good intention, pursuing that, I think good things will come. But if you add some hustle, then great things will come.
Oh, okay. There's a few things we got to unpack here. First off, we're starting to fucking heat up Playboy, and I love it. Yes, surround yourself with people that think like this. Surround and keep them close, because there are people who are naysayers, and there are people that'll like break down what you want to do, and then there are people who will gas you up. So surround yourself with people who will gas you up, and yes, work your ass off so that certain people will feel comfortable putting you in a room with that big break and whatnot, and they have that confidence 100%. It's not just going to fall on your lap. And when the opportunity comes, you need to hit it out the park. B, I want to go back to Arnold for a second. Arnold Schwarzenegger, that story about the lady who was propositioned by one of those, producers, and he's like, if you sleep with me, I'm gonna make you a star. Joe Rogan had a joke, and he goes, I don't know why, but we have a double standard when it comes to a man and a woman in the same situation. Like if my daughter came to me and said, this TV producer said if I sleep with him, I'm going to be a star of this summer blockbuster. If my daughter comes to me, I'm going to tell her, tell me where this guy is, and I'm going to break his legs. If my son came to me and said that, I'm going to tell my son, son, you're going to be Batman.
It's fucked up, isn't
it? So, congratulations. Congratulations. But Arnold Schwarzenegger, dude, talk about a guy that not only would he ever what he did with bodybuilding. First off, that documentary, Pumping Iron, is what blew up bodybuilding. It was a documentary. And if you watch that documentary, at the end of the documentary, he says, I am going to be the biggest star. I'm going to go into Hollywood. And I don't want to. And everybody told him, this is the 70s. Nobody was jacked like Arnold. You're a freak. Nobody went to the gym back in the 70s. He was a freak. They're like, you can't be the biggest star. Nobody's like you. There's no mold like you. There's no pathway for a guy like you. Furthermore, your accent is ridiculous. You're not a leading man. You look like a freak. Your accent's ridiculous. And then they told him, one movie producer said, you have to change your last name. Nobody will ever be able to say your last name. And Arnold said, now everybody knows my last name. He's like, I didn't change my last name. And my last name was one of the most famous last names in the world, Schwarzenegger. You know exactly who I am when you hear that. And so Arnold, I read both of his autobiographies. One of them came out in 1980, and he stopped bodybuilding and was entering movies. And at the end of the book, if you read it, he hadn't become a movie star, and he hadn't done obviously anything in politics. And on the last little part of that book, he goes, I want to be the number one box selling box office hit in Hollywood. I won't stop until I'm number one in Hollywood. And then I'm going to get into politics. And if you read that in 1980, you would think this guy's hilarious. And now he became the number one box office in Hollywood, went into politics, two-time governor of California, and married a Kennedy. It's insane, man. It's like this dude. It's like no, man. It's not possible. Now we have like a Greek pharaoh, like those gods where they would have statues of you and hold games like the Olympics to honor you. We have Arnold classics all over the world, in every region of the world, and statues of his likeness that people all over the world take pictures in front of. Like the guy's like a god now that walks amongst. It's crazy.
Yeah.
What this dude achieved. So
And
for you to be in the room talking to him,
he wasn't even from America. Not even American.
He's not even American, man. That means I have a chance. He was at one point trying to have the law changed that somebody who wasn't born American should be able to run for president. He was trying to push that. It never went through. You still have to be born in America to do it. But if he was able to, I don't know, man. Being governor of California is pretty flipping huge for politics anyways. It's crazy what this guy's done. He's done it all.
It's not even about, in terms of, who he was as a person, a lot of the stuff that I've read too, you can make an argument that maybe there were some major character flaws there. But I think the point is that we're getting at is that it's the achievements. It's I set out to do X. I had this vision. I put in the work. I advertised myself. And yeah, I got to repeat that. I put in the work, and here I am, And that's yeah, I mean, ever since I was a kid, that was definitely always been my number one inspiration. I mean, most of the legacy that he has is the legacy I'm trying to build for myself, you know, only because I saw what was possible. And by the way, that wasn't something that he just had an epiphany with. He had seen, I think it was some guy named Reggie Park or something like that. I forget who it was, but basically was doing the same thing, was a bodybuilder and then got into acting. And that's who he saw when he was in Austria. And he was like, I want to be that. I want to do that. And that's what he did. And so, you know, to me, it's like, I mean, this is what I'm talking about, man. We all have the potential. You're gonna tell me that this motherfucker couldn't speak a lick of English, all of a sudden becomes the highest paid actor in Hollywood, you know? And you're gonna tell me that you don't have a good, you know, like, I don't know. I it's not that I'm excusing, or I should say this. It's not that I'm invalidating the circumstances, because I'm not. All I'm saying is that it doesn't change the reality, no matter what your circumstances are. It doesn't change reality. So if you have a vision for where you're trying to head, you can't let those things, your circumstances, your excuses, your reasons, you can't let those things stop you from achieving the vision, from bringing it to fruition.
Here's, if you've ever seen, if you read Arnold Schwarzenegger's autobiography, he wasn't just born in Austria like we picture Austria now. He was born in like a one-room house in the sticks with like no electricity and no, like, it's crazy for that guy to be born there
Yeah.
and somehow end up where he is. And he had no connections. His parents had no money. He had no connections anywhere at all. He had nothing. This dude was literally plopped in the middle of nowhere in a, like, a freaking shack of a house with nothing. No, like plumbing. They had like a well, and be like, okay, start here. This is where you start. Let me see where you end up. And he started there, Gavin, and ended up to the point where all over the world now we have festivals, statues, and talk about him like we're talking about. That's insane.
Yeah.
And that's insane if you think about it. And here's another thing that I like about the Arnold story. Um, being the best bodybuilder in the world at the time, no one gave a fuck. Arnold made you care and made the title mean something. Only Arnold did that. Before Arnold, nobody cared. It didn't matter. He would go to Hollywood and be like, okay, you're a bodybuilding shit. What's bodybuilding? I'm not in the 70s. People were like, I think I heard of bodybuilding. What is this? Arnold made it like, I just need to make you care. So we made, like, with Pumping Iron, he made it cool. When they were talking, you've seen Pumping Iron, I'm sure, but when they were talking before the match with Lou Ferrigno, he already knew he's going to beat Lou Ferrigno, but he had to build it that there was psychological warfare between them. He knew this, none of this is necessary. I'm going to win. But he was building it the way he's talking to Lou when they went out for breakfast. And he was pretending to be scared, like, oh, Lou, I can't even like eat my breakfast. I'm so afraid of, you being here. And then he's like, and Lou's dad's trying to psych Arnold out. And Arnold's like, you know what, Lou? I called my mother and I told her I won. She thought it was today. And I didn't want to, I just said, yeah, I won. And she's like, oh, congratulations, Arnold. Like, yeah, might as well just get it out of the way. And knowing it's not till tomorrow, but he's basically saying, I'm not going to have that awkward conversation of, Mom, I actually lost. I'm going to win anyway, so it doesn't matter. Fuck it. Yeah, I won. Sure. I won't even bother correcting you when you say, yeah, I won. He was talking like that. And it was like the wildest. And that's all happening on the documentary. He's so charismatic and has such an awareness. So when this movie goes out, it's a niche sport. Powerlifting now is way bigger. So niche. No, but there was no like internet or anything, no streams. It wasn't on television. It wasn't anywhere, Gavin. This was such a niche thing. And he made it a big thing and then used it to catapult off. So for like an individual like yourself, like powerlifting, well, who would care about powerlifting? Well, they might. Depends how you tell the story, huh? You tell your own story.
Yeah.
You tell me if it means something. Convince me. Write me the story of you and convince me. Yeah, you can. Me and you have had these conversations in the back of cars and in the whole nine when we've had tons of conversations, but you have the narrative. Convince me why it was big deal.
Oh,
And then
absolutely.
after that, snowball off of that.
That's
So I love guys like Arnold and Arnold's story. When you think about it,
can't
he,
help
he
but
could
be.
always he could always spin a narrative and make it be what he wanted it to be.
Yeah. Well, that's
Dude, I can't believe you met him. I'm so fucking jealous right now. I can't. I
I can
can't. I can't get over it. I can't get over it. What was he like? What was he like talking to him? Were you just like, oh my God, this is Arnold Schwarzenegger, man.
It
This is the
was
Terminator.
it was definitely like the first time where I can't say I was like starstruck, but I definitely was I was like, holy shit, like this is the guy. This is him.
Did it
He's here.
feel like the first time when you met me, bro?
Oh my God, dude, we can't compare those two. Come on, man. You know you have a special place in my heart.
Yeah, right.
That's like no, come on, come on. That's like a
Dude, I
first kiss.
could.
Yeah.
It's like the first. That's a good one. That's a good one. Arnold was like full blown. Again, all right, I'll stop there. But I was the first kiss, and it's more innocent. It's not quite as big, but it meant something. Okay, it meant something. You're far beyond it now. You're
Yeah, yeah.
far beyond
I
that
basically
now.
forgot. I don't even who is Arnold?
Sometimes
Who
you
are we
don't even.
talking-
Sometimes you don't even kiss anymore. You just get right to it. You're so far beyond it. That's Arnold. I got you. I got you. You'll remember me. You'll remember.
No, it was
Perfect. All
awesome.
right.
He was really cool. It was really great to meet him. He was honestly he spoke clearly. You could tell he's very rehearsed, but he's exactly this is what I thought was really cool. He was exactly what you'd expect him to be. He wasn't any different than what you'd see online or what you've seen even really in the movies and stuff. You know, he's exactly who he was. Like when he told me that story and what he was saying some things so casually. I was like, yo, like that ain't politically correct, brother. You know what I mean? Like he was saying some stuff that I was like, this is
He's
him. This is what I would have expected, you know, which to me, look, some people that might rub them the wrong way, but I kind of appreciate it. It's like, you know, first of all, he's human and he's being him. He's just being real. Now, granted, it's kind of easy to be him because I'm sure he's got nothing but yes men around him, but you know, you get the point. You know, he's for better or for worse, he's authentic. He was himself, and that was kind of refreshing. But yeah, it was great to shake his hand and take a couple pictures with him, and again get to have that conversation. Honestly, I felt like genuinely, if there was no one else in the room, I genuinely felt like he would have had a full on conversation with me because there was really no
crazy.
just the fact that there were other people that were kind of rushing to try and take pictures and stuff like that with him. So yeah, so which is phenomenal. You know, I'm definitely very, very, very grateful that I got to have that opportunity to share that moment.
Dude, it's here's another thing. He was on
Foreshadowing too, I think.
what's that? Sorry?
The foreshadowing of
Oh,
future events.
foreshadow. Yeah, that's right. Passing of the torch.
Mm,
Right? He didn't know that, but he will
as some
when
would say.
he will. Yeah.
Bro, you know what?
Time
You
will
know what I
tell.
told him? You know my opening line when I shook his hand? I was like, "Hi, sir. How are you? I'm a world champion powerlifter. You know, great inspiration. I'm gonna be Marvel's next Wolverine. I have to ask you a question about, bro. I hit it
Did you
right.
really?
Where to God, bro? This is what I hit him
Did
with.
you tell him you were a powerlifter though for real?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course.
Because he was a powerlifter too. I forgot to mention.
I didn't know that. I know Franco Colombo dipped into some of that, but I didn't know Arnold did any of that.
There is, it's in his autobiographies, and there's still pictures of him deadlifting in competition. He was a full-on competitive powerlifter. Not, it was like before he got into, or like when he's first getting into bodybuilding and whatnot. This is obviously they weren't testing at the time. This is like the 60s. He's jacked as hell, deadlifting, benching. He could bench. His squat and his deadlift were meh, but his bench, man, he could bench. But yeah, I mean, he's a powerlifter. So if you tell him that, he'll perk up. I saw him on Logan Paul's podcast, and Logan Paul was talking to him, and Arnold was explaining his routine because he's still jacked, and he was like, "Yeah, man, I mean, I work out like 5 days a week, and blah blah blah." And Logan Paul is like, "You still get up and go to the gym?" And Arnold's like, "Yeah." And Logan Paul couldn't believe it, and he's like, "You're in your 70s," and Arnold's like, do you think when you wake up in your 70s, life is over? Like you have no more, like if you don't do something, if you don't do something, Logan, how do you feel? You just blow the day, do nothing. You picture yourself like when I'm 70, I won't care. Yes, if you're a guy like Arnold, yes, you will. You still
Absolutely.
have, you want to do something. You want to get up. You want to grind. You need to get the angst out. You got to do stuff, man. Yes, you will.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was trying to say before, man. It's a lifestyle. Champion being a champion has nothing to do with winning. You can win and not be a champion. I mean, that's the truth. Like it's about who you have to become in pursuit of the outcome. I keep saying it because it's real. It's these habits. It's who you're becoming. Quite literally, the things, the very fabric of your life is basically your habits. Actually, this comes from a book, Atomic Habits. It says it in there. That's kind of where I learned a lot of this stuff. You know, it's your habits. If you want to change your outputs, you change the inputs, right? And so it's that simple. And as you're pursuing greatness, as you're pursuing these big, big, ambitious goals, you have no choice but to change the inputs, right? Because what you are right now is a product of what you've been doing. And where you're trying to go is very different than where you are right now. So you have to change what you've been doing, right? And what you will do. And so it's exactly like that stuff doesn't just go away. And I think it's kind of ironic that it's Logan Paul who, kind of was a little astounded because his brother is probably different. I bet you his brother wouldn't even have had to ask
Yeah.
that question,
Right.
So
100%. His brother's actually, it's kind of remarkable. Taking a step back from fighting MMA fighters and trying to fight boxers now on his way up. Fringe contenders now, and he'll keep moving and moving. And if he keeps knocking these guys out and he's knocking these guys out, move on to, middle of the pack contenders, move on to top 20, top 15. You just keep moving up the ranks, but he's legitimately trying to do something. And yeah, man, I mean, even for like, I'm like, dude, I could totally picture when I'm 70 years old, I'm going to have to lift weights. I've lifted weights my whole life. My whole life, man. When I was a kid, I went down in the basement. My dad had some dumbbells, never used them, and I just worked out and by myself in an unfinished basement. Had no idea what I was doing, and I just lifted weights. I have no idea why I did that. And then people are like, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna lift the weights until the day I die. And they're like, what? I'm like, yes, man. When
Yeah.
I'm in my 70s, I'm gonna lift weights. It is what
Yeah.
it is. I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't
it's
know.
part
Can
of
you
the
ever see
lifestyle.
yourself not lifting? How much when you get into Hollywood and whatnot? Are you going to be a buff? You're going to be a buff actor, right?
I'm gonna be what?
A buff actor. I'm assuming though you cannot be 215 because you'll have to be because well, you know what?
Big
I was
water
just
cuts,
about
yeah.
to say, leading men aren't 215, but I literally gave the story about Arnold Schwarzenegger and he got the same speech, didn't he?
Yeah.
And look what happened. I almost became that guy. You got to cut me from your circle. I'm a
Yep, that's
naysayer.
it.
I'm a
Done.
naysayer. And that was it right there.
No, I mean, I'll always train, and obviously, I've chosen specific roles, I would say, that are characters that I think I fit best, that fit my personality best. Just naturally, I think that there are certain like I know what my goal is and what I would enjoy playing and the characters I would enjoy playing. I love to write there are books that I would like to write. I know what style I like to write in. I know what genre I like to write. I'm not going to be writing history books. I'm certainly not going to be writing nonfiction. I wrote a mindset training ebook a few years back. I'm excited to kind of, once I have some more time, go through that again and kind of actually publish that and build on that. But I love like fantasy novels and stuff, like Lord of the Rings style stuff and all that. If I were to write a book, that's not on training mindset, it's going to be something like that. So the point I'm getting is I know what genre, I know what kind of characters and roles I'd like. And so that's the stuff that I'd be prepared for. And obviously that kind of fits, naturally what I am right now. But yeah, man, I mean, the biggest thing is it's really not about me, it's about the character. And if you take that to the next step, it's not really even about the character, it's about the message, it's about the story, you know. And in order to tell that story properly, the character is a part of that story. So you have to become that character, and that would be the plan. So whatever the roles would kind of call for, but yeah, I mean, if I could be jacked and shredded, on screen, that'd be great. I feel like why the fuck would I want to be skinny and small? Who wants to do that? But yeah, I mean, look, we'll see what comes. There's a couple different avenues that I want to go down even outside of the acting space, and we'll see what the demands are. I think that the biggest thing is that whatever it is that I choose to pursue, I believe I have the ability to do it, and I have the vision, and I believe I have the work ethic to do it. And again, the burn your ships mantra isn't just about like training, it's about everything in your life. So, you know, if let's say if Arnold says to himself, yeah, I'm going to be the highest paid actor in all of Hollywood, watch, right? That's a burn your ships mindset. He's going all in on that. So whatever that takes. I mean, he was training double sessions, going to college, going to university, and taking acting lessons and taking language lessons, whatever the speech lessons and stuff to fix his accent. He was doing all that stuff on top of, at the time, I mean, he was making a lot of his money in real estate. A lot of people think he made all of his money in acting. He actually was rich before acting. He had made a lot of his money in real estate prior to then because of the big bubbles back then. But he was also employing all of his friends, all of his bodybuilders. He had a construction company, so a bricklaying company. So that's what he was doing all that at that time, you know. And so he was all in, and that to me that's as simple as it gets. It's just you go all in on it. Same way I'm trying to master the craft of strength, I would try and master the craft of whatever the next thing it is that I'm trying to be great at.
Have you taken acting lessons and
I
coaching?
have. Yeah, so recently it's been tough just because my schedule is pretty crazy. So between trying to build up my business and then, of course, training as an athlete, my relationships, and then I also do music lessons as well. Right now, I'm learning piano, so I've been doing piano for about 6 months, maybe 8 months now, 6 to 8 months. I grew up playing the drums and stuff, did cover bands and all that stuff, so I figured I'd try something different. And yeah, so right now my schedule is like pretty crazy, but I'm trying to, as soon as Nationals is done on Sundays, go into the city and do some stuff there. But when I was younger, I used to do a bunch of stuff, theater, mostly theater stuff though. It wasn't like on-screen style stuff, it was more like stage stuff and like improv and all that. And I had a good time with that. So, but recently I haven't been able to do lessons, but in the past I've taken them. I'm hoping to dive back. That stuff humbles you, man. That stuff humbles you so fast.
So I've done it too, right? Like actually acting lessons as well. Because I was doing obviously the unscripted, um, which I mean fuck it, it's reality TV and stuff like that. Like it's not really an art, so to speak, right? But I've also done like acting. And one of the biggest things that one of the acting coaches, I went in there and he said, Ryan, you're overthinking it. He's like, listen to me right now. So I'm like, you hear about guys like De Niro who played a patient that couldn't move. And he'd go to those, like literally some people like they turn into they're like living furniture. They can't move, but they're still there and hear everything. And he played one of those patients who came out of it, lived a little bit, and then went back into it. And he's like, Ryan, you're overthinking it with all that kind of stuff. Here it is. Every single emotion, every character you're going to play, you've already felt in your real life. You've been sad, you've been mad, you've been afraid, you've all this. Yes, you have. It's finding that moment in the older you get, the more moments you'll have. This will be easier to play on. But remember the moment, bring it back into your mind how you felt, live it, and hold it, and then go out there and start acting with that with you. And I tried it a couple times, and it's like a cheat code. The thing is, it's difficult to hang in the pocket with it. And I could do it in a couple spaces, but I can't do 20 takes of it. You can't stop me from when I get there and I'm ready to go. Don't stop me and have a normal conversation with me, whatever, because I'll lose it. But it's kind of like you've talked before when you're talking about training, squatting, and whatnot, where you'll conjure things up to get yourself worked up. And when you get into that, and you're like, okay, right now I could play what I just found. But if you stop me, try to talk to me and be like, hey, man, did you blah, 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 I'm going to lose it. And like, I'll just be gone. I can't hang on to it. Some people can come in and out of it, maybe. But then I started realizing when we hear about guys being like divas on screen or girls being divas on screen or on set, sorry, when they're in movies and they're like, oh, they're like, don't talk to me on set, leave me alone or don't whatever. Only then did I realize they don't give a fuck. If you met them in other places, like you met Arnold, they wouldn't care less. But if they're on set and like working, it is so difficult to hold yourself into that emotion of like literally you could have whatever it is. unless you're like at a small time role, but if you have something where you have to be in that emotion, people don't realize how hard it is to find it, hold it, and then, all right, I got it, and be like, get me on the set and let me do this. Because if
Yeah.
I stop and you talk, like if I lose it, it's gone, and it is what it is. But normal people don't know. So they're
Well, and
like,
wrapping
if
that,
you were, sorry,
yeah,
go ahead.
well, no, yeah, wrapping that back into even like the training side of it. I feel like a lot of us have been through those times where we're ready to go for a big lift. We're getting all amped up, whatever, and somebody wants to fucking ask you for a spot, or somebody, wants to try and come and talk to you, and you're like, dude, I'm trying to fucking train. Like that
Yeah.
right there is kind of like that. It's like you're in that zone, or like even better, when you're at the Sheffield and you're fucking amped up and ready to go, and for whatever reason, it's taking them a little bit longer than it should for them to say platform ready, right? Or they misload it, or they mess up and it's actually somebody else who's supposed to go before you, right? So little things like that. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I could imagine that's really difficult. I feel like there's so many different like methods, so to speak, and approaches. Like I'm not really somebody obviously who's classically trained, so my approach is definitely going to be way different. But I study a lot of these people that I see to be great, guys like Denzel, Tom Hardy, all these people. And I don't look at Christian Bale, and I'll look at the way that they approach, and I'll listen to them. And you just try and like take the pieces that you think fit what you need, and the pieces that you think, ooh, you know what? That's not it. Because again, ultimately, you have to think about like why you're doing it, what you're doing it for, and what's the best strategy you can use to accomplish the goal. But I think ultimately, if you stay true to who you are, then you'll find the path that's not just the best path, but also the path that's best for you. And yeah, I mean, a lot of people that are like super classically trained, they have almost like a rule book, and they're really, really good, really, really, really good. But then there's other people, dude, that are just like basically like Ryan Gosling. I heard in an interview, he's like, people think I'm a good actor, but I'm really not. I'm just playing myself in all of these movies. Like that's how it feels. He's like, I'm just myself. I'm just myself. And that's like a really cool way to think about it from his perspective. Someone like Jason Statham or even The Rock, they're not dynamic at all. They only have one type of movie that they play. And that's because the type of movie that they play is their own self. It's their own character, And so, Vin Diesel, you gave that example. Again, very similar situation. I mean, most of his movies are the ones where it's pretty much just how he would have normally been, and that's why it works. If you were to take him and put him in The Notebook, yeah, it's probably not going to work. Ryan Gosling's a little bit better, but you take him and you make him a bouncer, in the Fast and Furious. I know he wasn't a bouncer, but that's the point. He's going to fit that because he was a fucking bouncer. You know what I mean? He was in the street. He did that, so that's kind of, actually Terry Crews, I just listened to him in the interview. He was talking about how he got his start in acting, and he was in the city, and he was a bouncer. And one of the guys he worked security for told him, he's like, hey, man, Denzel Washington's filming a scene for training day. And downtown, do you want to go just to watch, just
Was
to
that
see him
his
do his
first role? I remember him in it.
first fucking role, bro. So Terry Crews is like, fuck, are you kidding me? Like Denzel? Yeah, of course I'll go. So they go downtown. This is like the scene where he's like King Kong and shit on me, that scene. So Denzel's doing the scene, right? Director sees Terry. Now, at this point, Terry got back into lifting weights. He's kind of buffed up. He
Yeah, he
goes up to
did.
him, he says, you want to be in the scene? And Terry's like, I mean, I can't act for shit. I've never acted. He's like, no, you don't have to. I don't want you to say anything. I want you to take your shirt off. You're going to wear this wife beater, this guinea tee. You're going to stand right in front of Denzel, and you're just going to mean mug him the entire time. And Terry's like, okay. So he said, I kind of put on my football face. I just stared him down the entire time. And he's like, lo and behold, that scene ended up as like an Oscar or Grammy, whatever it is, nominee. So he's like, that's how he got his start. So it's crazy, but what he played is who he was, and that was the start. And then he started to realize, like, you know what, muscles can be funny too, and that's when he got into comedy and all that other stuff. But yeah, it's crazy, man, how this stuff happens.
Hang on a second. I got it pulled up right now. We got to watch it. I got to see if Terry Crews is in this fucking thing.
Oh, you motherfuckers.
There he is.
Okay. All right. I'm putting cases on all you bitches. Huh? You think you can do this shit? Jay! You think you can do this to me? You motherfuckers will be playing basketball in Pelican Bay when I get finished with you. Shoe program, nigga. 23-hour lockdown. I'm the man up in this piece. You'll never see the light of day. Who the fuck you think you fucking with? I'm the police. I run shit here. You just live here. Yeah, that's right. You better walk away. Go on, walk away, because I'm going to burn this motherfucker down. King Kong ain't got shit on me. That's all right. That's all right. Shit, I don't fuck. I'm winning anyway. I'm winning. I'm winning any motherfucking way. I can't lose. Shit, you can shoot me, but you can't kill me.
Dude, that's wild.
Right.
There he was. First off, he was jacked as shit, and that's gonna go there. It's crazy because he was a grown-ass man there. He was like 30, 40, 30s, 40. Like, he was so late in life. And his whole entire life changed, and he probably had no ambitions of being an actor. It sounded like by the story you're saying, no ambitions at all. And some dude just said, I could use a buff guy like you. I can't act. You don't got to just look tough. And off of that, Terry Crews, bro. That's insane. Yeah. I didn't know that story. You want to hear something else? At one point, Terry Crews' life, something went sideways on him, and somebody found him. He was working at like a fast food joint, and they took pictures of him to shame him. Someone saw him, like, I got to take a picture of this. Oh my God, Terry Crews is where this is how far his life went. Took pictures of him and put it up, and he bounced back again and remade himself and got like famous again and made all of his money back. But that picture still, you could find it. And fuck you, whoever posted that, thinking you're going to shame him. Fuck you, huh? That's what kind of a piece of shit are you to feel good about he fell from grace? Let me take a picture.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan talks about he was on back-to-back reality TV or sitcoms. And then he had a bit of a something going for him. And then they both got canceled. And then he was in he was in like a store or something. And he didn't even know this guy. But the guy knew who he was. And he goes, you had that TV show. And Joe's like, yeah, that's right. And he goes, yeah, but now you don't, huh? It got canceled. And he was rubbing his face. Yeah. Yeah. Now you're like us. And he was like happy that it got canceled on Joe. And Joe's like, the fuck? I don't even know you. Why are you celebrating me taking an L? Yeah. And Joe's like, all right, whatever. Spoiler alert, Joe Rogan being way bigger than that later, but it's crazy how people are like that.
Yeah.
Because you did what they didn't, and they want you to take an L.
And it goes back to what we were talking about before, man. There will always be people who throw stones. There will always be people who talk down about your name, who prey on your downfall. I mean, I can think of several people I know already in the powerlifting community who speak that way about my name and who wish those things upon me, and that's cool. You know, that's okay. They can do that because they're really only hurting themselves. And honestly, I know this sounds like some sort of preaching from the pulpit bullshit, but I genuinely mean this. Like, I don't forget it. I do not forget it, but I do forgive it. And the forgiveness is not for them, it's for me. So I can move forward. So I don't have to think about them and resent them and be worried about them. You know, I honestly, I want nothing but the best for them. But there are people like that in powerlifting. Plenty of people that you would never think, people that are at the top that talk like that about other people. It's just, well, you know, I'm not perfect and I've certainly made the mistakes, but one thing I will definitely try to do is not be that type of person. You know, I will try to root for people, especially the people who I feel really do deserve it, you know. But I know, just because I have taken so many L's, and not just in powerlifting, just in my entire life. You know, I've gone through my own fair share of adversity, just as anyone else has. And that humbles you, you know, it teaches you a degree of humility. And humility is just, it's really just the first three letters. It's human, right? It's you remember that you're human, that you are fallible, you know, and you don't know somebody else's story. You don't know what somebody else is going through. So yeah, you know, worry about yourself, stay in your lane, Focus on yourself and work on yourself. And I promise you, any ounce of energy that you're given to somebody else, especially to try and tear them down, there is nothing good that can come out of that. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. So yeah, man, that's going to be everywhere. And I think it's great because, I mean, I certainly can use it as fuel. You know, a lot of times I can absolutely use it as fuel, but it's not so much like, oh, can you believe so-and-so said this, that I can't do this, and so now I'm going to prove them wrong. It's more so I think about it for myself, and I think to myself, I wonder if they're right. You know, I wonder if they're right. Do I really have what it takes to do this? You know, and then it becomes a mission of proving myself right or proving myself wrong, you know, and it has nothing to do with them. It's my own voice. And so that way it's a matter of me conquering myself, not me, you know, fighting with them. And I think that that's a lot of people's stories, man, is somebody somewhere told them that they couldn't do it. And so then they did it, you know? But yeah, it is, those people absolutely exist 100%. But at the same time, there are people who support and who believe and who cheer, and they want nothing but the best for you. They want to see you win, you know? So it's not just those people that exist, you know, you do get both.
People got to be careful. The more you are that person that throws darts at someone who's chasing something, and let's say somebody's talking big, somebody's chasing something, someone's bold, and they're chasing a target, a big target. And if they swing and miss, be careful if you celebrate that. Realize it's coming from a spot where you probably resent the fact that they're doing it, you're not. They swung, they even had the guts to swing, the bravery to swing when everyone's watching. But on top of that, every time you celebrate them missing, every time you do that, you're reinforcing in your mind to not swing yourself because you don't want to end up swinging and missing. That's so every single time you build that up and make fun of someone and poke jokes at someone because they swung and missed, be careful. You're psychologically building up in your head, don't swing and miss. For whatever the goal is, you're building that up, that narrative in your head yourself. And it's just going to get worse. And usually they get worse, right? They get more aggressive with it and start being like, oh, this is cheesy, that's corny, that's whatever. Or is that person just doing things that they're getting, I don't know, they're getting bold. It is what it is, man. You got to make sure people also got to monitor and audit themselves. There are some people that just like to recreationally talk shit and they're just having fun, but there's other people where it's like, don't get too out of hand. You know, don't get too negative out of hand, pessimistic out of hand, because you'll also condition yourself to have to be in the pocket.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, first of all, like I said, we're all human. We're all going to say some things. And, you know, I think that's just kind of part of it. But I also do think I think there's a deeper level. Like, I think it's one thing to talk smack. It's another, you know, it's to boast and all that stuff. If that's who you want to be, that's cool, you know? And I've talked shit before. I don't think anything about anybody else, but, you know, but for me, I do believe that to my core, like I know my character. I know I genuinely respect, let's say my competitors, for example. Like I do respect my competitors. In fact, the only thing that has ever dissuaded that respect or decreased that respect is when I saw character flaws in them that I didn't appreciate. And usually those were things where they misunderstood me, misconstrued my character, and tried to paint me as something I'm not. And that I don't appreciate. Especially without giving me the opportunity to at least have conversations with these people and hash things out, you know, in a reasonable way. And so, you know, again, to me, you're just like your time is finite, so is your energy. And, you know, I do believe that you are what you think. You know, your thoughts dictate your actions. Your actions quite literally create your future. So you have to be very careful with the thoughts that you allow to permeate your mind, you know? And, yeah, man, I would want somebody to lift me up. I would want somebody to support me and to be, you know, to want the best for me. So why wouldn't I not do that for somebody else? Like I said before, I kind of want to lead by example, you know, and if I want to do that, then that means I have to do that, right? I can't play the act of somebody who wants to tear other people down and diminish their value and diminish what they've done. That's not what I'm here to do, man. That's not what strong people do, in my opinion. That's not what strong people do. You know, to me, real strength has nothing to do with the barbell. It's who you are. It's who you are as a person. It's your ability to lift your burdens, but then lift the burdens of those who can't lift their own. You know, there's no shame in being weak. The shame is in staying weak. And that for me rings true, you know. So in every way, you know, in every sense. And yeah, man, I there's marketing, there's advertising, there's all that stuff. Even Arnold would say that. I remember I watched his Netflix series. Thought it was actually really well done, the 3-part series. But in it, he said, you know, a lot of what you see, you know, me talking all boastful, talking my shit, whatever. He's like, that's a character. You know, I'm doing that to get attention and stuff. He's like, that's not really who I am. That's kind of like an extreme version of a piece of my personality. And that's part of the game. You know, I understand that. But I think ultimately you have to try and be a good person. You know, you have to try and want the best for people, because you also want the best for yourself. And also, again, for me, there's another counterpart where my faith kind of comes into thing. It's not just this happy-go-lucky, like God is a good thing. Like there's a reason why the Bible does tell you to fear God. You know, there is a way that we are called to be, a type of person we are called to be. Um, and so you are called to be that, and to be that for others, you know. And so you don't get to just do whatever the fuck you want and say whatever the fuck you want. And, you know, that's not how this works. And that's the other component as well, you know, for me at least. But yeah, man, the world will always be filled with people who are throwing stones. Trust me. If they are talking about you, and if they're throwing stones at you, it means you're doing something. It means you're making waves, you know. And if you don't want to make waves, then be mediocre. But that's a choice you got to make, and I'm not willing to make that choice. I can't make that sacrifice. I have much greater fear of living my life being average than a fear of what people will think of me, you know, in pursuit of trying to be great, you know.
And remember when you were talking about how you would go to like crazy mental places to get yourself ready for prepping and squatting and training and the whole nine? If you could
Yeah.
do that and you did, you could act. The places you said you could take yourself to get yourself ready, same thing, man. It's the same thing I described what acting is. Most people couldn't take like physically or mentally bring themselves to those places on their own. You could. So if you can do that to squat at Sheffield or get through training, it's the same skill to be able to get to those places and take on a character and just force, because you're not actually, you're manufacturing it in your mind's eye at that moment. Let me find what hurts. Let me find what makes me feel this way. Found it. Now let me use it.
Yeah.
Same thing is acting. So I don't doubt for a minute when you find your footing and start being like, grab some rules. And it's even those actors that you describe that play themselves to an extent still need to show the range of mad, sad, scared, the whole nine of themselves. That's not easy. And so you, and I think you could, based off
Thank you.
of everything I know about you, because you've done, man, you've done it. What my acting coach told me is exactly what you already did. You just applied it to powerlifting. But you would purposely find things from your past. That's what he said. He's like, you've been all those emotions before, Ryan. Find them in your past, bring it back, bring yourself right back into there, which isn't easy for everybody to be able to do. Hold that feeling, that thought, whatever. Get it, use that, hold that as long as you can.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
We'll see, man. This is the dude. We're at 3 hours now.
Oh, it's crazy.
Was this a powerlifting podcast? I forgot.
That's why I kind of feel bad. I feel like we went in a totally different direction, but
Didn't we do that last time? No, not
hopefully
last time. God knows how many times. How many times have you been on this podcast now?
maybe 4 or 5. You know, hard to count, man, when I got my first kiss on here.
Dog, dog. Must have been good. You've been coming back. And do you remember one time? Remember when you did the Junior Worlds commentary with me, and then you came on for the Junior Worlds recap show, and you go, "Yeah, fuck, man. Hopefully, like, hopefully, I could come back on as an athlete sometime."
Well, yeah, because at that time it was like a fucking drought, man. I mean, we had South Africa Worlds, I think, and then it was Turkey, and then
Yeah.
we
So
weren't
you
really
weren't feeling it wasn't you weren't hitting the PRs, you weren't whatever. And you're like, I don't know if I'm ever gonna be back on as an athlete. I think I'll just be
Yeah, Arian tried to insult me with that fucking, oh, you're Daniel Cormier now. I'm like, no, brother.
you're like, bro, I'm 25. Okay. Daniel Cormier is 45. Retiring. You're like, he's talking to you like you're retired already. You found your second calling. You found your second wind, bro.
Unreal.
But anyways, dude, I appreciate when you come on the podcast as usual. We always end up whenever we get off track, dog. We're supposed to every now and then. With the freaking even when we did the holiday episodes, whatever. I can't believe it took me this long to ask you onto the holiday episode. How wild was that? Dude,
Yeah.
you were like, bro, you got Nick Manners and Russell Laurie and Venus.
Unreal.
You were like, I will, but are you sure all other parties will? Remember? You're like, you're like, I was like, yeah, it's gonna happen. You're like, really?
It went well.
And then the group chat got put together with all parties, and you're like, all right, this is gonna happen.
Yeah. No, it went well. It worked.
Dude, it was phenomenal. But yeah, man. All right. I'll let you go, sir. I appreciate you. I'll see you in next week. How
Yeah,
crazy
man.
is that to say? I'll see
Yeah,
you next week.
it's nuts. Hopefully we get to do we can do like a live podcast there. That'd be pretty cool. Maybe that Saturday or that Sunday. And
Oh, gotta be game.
yeah, man. And whatever questions and stuff people have, I know, when it comes to training and all that other stuff, I'm definitely open to answering. So if anybody has anything that they'd want to hear or they want us to talk about and stuff like that, the next time I'm on, I'm totally open to that. But I hope everybody, got some value out of this. It's like a big inspirational pod.
There it is, man. All right. And as per usual, everybody listening, please do subscribe, give us high ratings, and until next time, six pack Lapadat, 6 up, and we are.